Hey guys, it's Courtney Carson from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and today I am in the outdoors. And I'm excited to do the Aries new moon forecast for you guys while I'm out here. So I brought my iPad this time so you guys can see the chart, or so I can see it, and I'll put it up for you. But this is kind of a rough new moon on April 17th. If you are not in the headspace to hear me talk about this, then I would encourage you to feel free to watch this at another time. But this is the first new moon since the start of the astrological new year. And what is special about this new moon is that it is conjunct Chiron. And Chiron is often very triggering for us. It is often linked with things that we're quite sensitive about, that could even cause like physical ailments. I've seen this a lot in my medical astrology readings. People will almost always have something going on with Chiron when they have something medical going on. So an Aries is already linked and vulnerable to things like accidents or conflicts, breakups, fights. So there's a lot that can happen here that is somewhat triggering or traumatizing or controversial or inflammatory in nature. Somebody could get hurt, somebody can get into a fight, somebody could push on a button of yours, or something could happen that brings out a feeling of crisis. Aries is linked with our need to survive. And so it could really feel like people are acting quite erratically. And part of that is because Uranus and Venus are kind of in this loose conjunction, so people are already having the propensity to act somewhat strange, even following the new moon when Venus gets closer to Uranus. But in general, I think that we could again have a kind of inflammatory response to things that are going on in our lives. And it's worthwhile to consider what this is bringing up for you in terms of what needs to be healed. I think it's really fascinating that we're entering 2026 with our first new moon, astrologically 2026 with our first new moon that is so painful, or that is so like sensitive. And it makes me think that we're still having something that we need to confront, to clear away before we can commit to a mission, to a goal, to a journey. And this is the positive side about Chiron, is it is also linked with our purpose, our spiritual and soul purpose. And also, like, if you're a healer, or if you have some type of psychic gift, or if you're a doctor or anything like that, usually you have a very active Chiron. So there could be a lot of healers awakening at this time to their purpose, or people who are figuring out what really matters in their lives. I'm just looking at my dog. I put her scarf over her ears so she looks funny. So one of the other challenging aspects of this new moon is that Mars is saddled up with Saturn, as well as Neptune and Mercury. So having the two malefics, Mars and Saturn, together is, I don't want to say a recipe for disaster, but it can definitely lead to outcomes that feel like, again, they are grave, or Saturn can create even like something being chronic as well. So if we have an ending right now, it could be something that we never return to, something long lasting. Saturn can also perpetuate endings, because Saturn is also a planet of endings. So if we're cutting something off, it is, again, this kind of thing that we're doing with a lot of commitment. Or if we're starting something, we're also really committing to this for the long haul. So there is an idea of longevity here because of Saturn. But Saturn can also create a feeling of seriousness in general. And so one of the useful things about having an Aries new moon with Mars conjunct Saturn is that we can get really clear on what something takes. If we are committing to something, if we are ending something, if we are up leveling in some way or facing something that is challenging, we understand what capacity we need to be at to face that thing. We understand how much time something might take, how much effort something might take. We have a good calculation of the energy required and the sacrifices required to make something happen. And Aries is not always the best at that. So with Saturn involved, it will help bring that level of conscientiousness and discernment to Mars that isn't always there. Though that could be less strong or not as, like, that could be detracted by Neptune's influence. With Mercury and Neptune, we could also be we could also distort timelines or misrepresent something, misunderstand something. Luna, over here. And so Neptune could potentially thwart or undermine some of Saturn's cautiousness and some of its discernment that we usually have. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I imagine, you know, with a stellium, which is a bunch of planets piled together, in this case Neptune, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. With the stellium, it's really hard to parse them out, and it's hard to know how people will respond because it's like having a ton of people in a room all screaming at once. It's like, whose voice is going to be louder? Who is the one that's going to come out on top, or that people are going to listen to? And it's going to vary from person to person. So the level of influence each of these planets have, again, will kind of vary on people's personalities. So I think that's just something to keep in mind to make this the most useful transit possible. We are being asked to heal something with Chiron. We are being asked to dedicate towards a purpose of ours, and we're being asked to also envision a better future and plan towards that in a practical way without allowing things to become distorted. If this is dealing with a relationship conflict or some kind of ending in your life, Mercury and Neptune could create this potential to see things that aren't there or to make conversations really challenging. Saturn as well could also create that, where we're not willing to give people the time of day to really hear them out, to really understand their point of view. So in terms of like relationships and contracts and obligations and commitments towards people, this new moon is not going to be supportive of that necessarily. So those are some really key details. Let's see if there's anything else I want to mention. We do have Mars in an exact sextile to Pluto as well. So one of the things that I've noticed with astrology, the more that I've gone into this field, is that sextiles are not, and trines, which are considered positive aspects, are not actually always felt positively. Oftentimes they can appear very similarly in our lives and energetically to oppositions, to squares, to conjunctions. Luna. So Mars sextiling Pluto to me could be both an enhancement and a detraction at this new moon. In many ways, Mars sextile Pluto will increase one's survival instinct and one's protectiveness. It will make you more tenacious. You know, like, I will stop at nothing to get this thing, or to accomplish this thing, or to get this thing out of my way, or to survive this thing, or overcome this thing. And that can be very empowering. But it can also indicate this kind of ruthlessness and this vigor with which we can also venomously attack others, right? Like, that can be used in a darker way. Pluto is the god of the underworld. Mars is the god of war. You combine these energies and you could imagine that the kind of things that we throw at each other could be quite toxic, could be quite negative. So I think we have to be careful how we utilize this energy. It could be this kind of like battery pack to get us up, to get us going, to get us disciplined, to get us, you know, head to the ground. I'm doing what it takes. Or it could be something that distorts, not distorts, but like has us more combative, more confrontational, more fearful, driven by maybe potentially like kind of negative emotions and things like that, and difficulties with others. Luna, no, come here. There's like a drop off over there, I think, so I'm trying to get her not to go over there. So yeah, I think ultimately we won't really know how this manifests because of the stellium, because when, again, there's so many planets together, it's really hard to pull them apart and have a very clear message around one distinct thing. But what I do know is that we're going to be feeling some type of way with this transit. So I think this is why I wanted to kind of get this done early. Like, I really want people to feel prepared, not worried, but prepared mentally, so that they understand that they might need additional resources as we come up on this new moon. So let me pull some cards and see if there's any further messages, and then we will look at what this looks like for each of the rising signs. And then I also like to watch for all my other planets, but that you kind of have to understand like what planet rules what house. But I really like to watch all of the signs and look at the planet. like I have my Mercury in Cancer, and it rules my 10th house of career because my 10th house is in Gemini. So I will watch Cancer to understand what's going on in my career. So I find that very helpful. You can watch actually a lot of signs because of that, but that's only if you understand what planets rule what houses and then what sign those planets are in and whatnot. So anyway, let me know in the comments down below how this is affecting you. If you're already feeling it, you might not be feeling it yet, but I hope that it goes well for you guys. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's coming up for the general overview given the cards. So Spirit, what messages do people need to hear about this Aries new moon? I'm also right by the water over here. I don't think you can see it in this video, which is too bad. What do people need to know about this Aries new moon? We have the Temperance and the Eight of Wands. Yeah, I feel like this kind of speaks to Mars being with Saturn, how we're going to have a lot of ideas, maybe even a lot of opportunities, a lot of things that we want to get into motion, or maybe we just feel like there's a sense of urgency or rush, or that there's just a lot pulling us in many different directions. And with the Temperance card, I feel like we really need to heal that sense of rush and urgency. We need to be able to temper ourselves. We need to be able to have moderation, to have focus, to have clarity around our mission and our purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. So yeah, this just feels like if there's something that's triggering us, it might be showing us where, like, because sometimes we get triggered and then we want to immediately react, or we want to fix it or immediately act. And that sense, it comes from that sense of like urgency or pain or wounding. And I actually think that like that's something that we need to have like some control over at this time. And Saturn represents that slowing down, that discipline, that control, that having, yeah. And then Mercury with Neptune can help us with the healing process that we need to go through at this time, to have a more compassionate perspective if we can access that Neptune properly. I don't know, we kind of have a lot of dark energies during this, so I don't know how accessible that will be. What else, Spirit, is this Aries new moon bringing out for everyone? We have the Nine of Wands. Yeah, this is a card where we really are being asked to push forward, and this builds our resilience with something. So we might meet our first obstacle on a goal, or if we're in a new relationship, we might suddenly find that we're having some kind of conflict with them, some kind of issue with them, but there's a sense of resistance, friction, or struggle of some sort. But continuing to push through that struggle is what's going to help us create this sense of like personal power and strength. With the Page of Swords, I think one of the best ways that we can get through the struggle is to think of new kind of innovative ideas of how we can solve this problem, or things that we can learn, things that we can be curious about, things that we can adapt to or consider that we hadn't considered before. New solutions, new ideas. Maybe we talk to new people and we open up our minds, especially when Venus comes into a tighter conjunction with Uranus. So those are options as well. But there's a sense of like having an open mind, which I don't feel like is really happening at this new moon, but I feel like that could come shortly after. Like, oh, the idea comes to us, or the clarity comes to us, or we have a good conversation, or something clicks. And so that resistance that we're brushing up against, we can move forward a little bit and not feel so stuck with it. What else, Spirit? What else does this Aries new moon bring up for us? We have the Empress. I feel like it's also trying to open us up to our sense of like trust and abundance and flow with life. The Empress is a feminine energy, which is not really the energy of this new moon. So I'm curious what's coming up around the Empress, Spirit. The Nine of Cups, the Magician, the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Wands. So I just feel like there's something that we want to get into better flow with the Empress and Nine of Cups. There's something that we want to feel like, yeah, flows to us, is easy to accomplish, or is accessible to us, that we don't have to like push as hard as we've been pushing. Yeah, I feel like some of us might feel like we've just been in that Nine of Wands energy of we want something, but it's this uphill battle. There's this friction. Either we're butting up against like practical and real limitations in our life, or things that are caused by our personal identity and our wounding and whatnot, how we keep finding ourselves in the same circumstance. I feel like we want to turn the corner. The new moon, I think, is helping us heal, to get out of a framework or a mindset or a pattern, to come into more of a sense of flow and abundance. But first we have to meet the friction and find out what is getting in our way of what we want. And that's really what I feel like this new moon is about. It's kind of like a threshold of pain and discomfort. But once you get through it and heal it and face it, what you want is on the other side. Magician, Seven of Wands, Ace of Wands. Yeah, I feel like also we're entering into a period of time with this new moon where we can think more strategically about, especially with Saturn involved, like more practically, more strategically, with more wisdom about what it is that we as individuals have to offer. The Magician also represents not only our unique talents, but feeling like we are already ready, and we just have to find out the right way to kind of position ourselves in the world for what we want. We don't have to do more learning. It's like, let's be more strategic and have some kind of idea or breakthrough to position ourselves in the right place within the world, so it's not as much of a struggle. Like, let's say for example you're a dancer and you've always wanted to dance, but you've always tried to do like ballet, and you're like, I'm gonna go to the Nutcracker, I'm gonna go, and you keep getting rejected, you keep struggling, you keep going year after year trying to audition for the Nutcracker, and then all of a sudden you have this idea of, I'm trying to fit in this space that I don't belong because I'm trying to prove myself to this person or that person, when actually I'm better placed in this kind of dance style or this kind of room of dance or theater or whatever. And then you apply for that, and you get it on the first try, and you excel within that environment. So that's what I'm seeing, is like repositioning ourselves in an environment where we actually, or like a strategy or a trajectory or a route that actually allows us to take off and has that Saturnian energy of being a lasting legacy, of being something that carries us through for many years. I think that the things that click in place for us now will really represent like many years down the line, things that we are still engaging with or that we still define ourselves by. And that's what Aries is. It's identity. It's the I am statement. So if there's something that you believe about yourself right now that is like not quite right, it's like you have the wrong size clothes on or the wrong clothes altogether. You'll really feel that discomfort around that at this new moon. And it's like we can take it off and try on something that fits us well and redefine who we actually are. Any last words, Spirit, about what this new moon represents? Any last words, Spirit, about this new moon? We have the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, I think a lot of us are going to get some kind of opportunity to build something. That's what Saturn often represents. Build a legacy, build a financial future, build a house, build a family. I don't know, whatever it is that we're building. But there's an idea that you have the tools and you actually probably have the resources more than you realize, but you need more of the strategy and the right placement in order for that building and that foundation to like fully come to life in the way that is going to suit you. So let's go ahead and dive into what this is going to look like for all of the signs. All right, up first we have Aries rising and sun. So this is obviously a big new moon for you, Aries, because it's in your sign. And we have this new moon taking place at 27 degrees. So if you have your sun or rising around those degrees, you are going to be the most heavily impacted. Of course, with Chiron conjunct this new moon, if you have your ascendant here or even your moon or something like this, you might find that health stuff becomes a really big priority. I feel like a lot of us, though, are going through some kind of healing and things that have gotten in the way of our ability to kind of shift or amplify our identity into this next phase of our life, because we did just start the astrological new year. So there's this idea of growing as people and finding that point of friction that we might come up against in this process of realizing what isn't going to work in this next level of ourselves. So with this being in the first house, it's something about how you're showing up, how you think about yourself, how you think about, I guess, like your self-concept or your identity and how that fits into your work. With the ruler of this new moon, Mars, being conjunct Saturn, it's possible that you guys could be really thinking hard about something related to your legacy, to your work. If there is a health thing, maybe it's something that you've been dealing with for a long time or something that has the potential to take a little while to resolve or make better. I also find it's interesting that like right when I start recording, they're mowing the lawn and it's like very distracting outside. So there's almost like a lot of noise going on potentially with you guys, especially with this new moon conjunct Chiron. A lot of mental chatter, maybe even a little bit like triggering some of your insecurities, some of your uncertainties. And I did pull the devil up right in the lovers in reverse. It feels like kind of like you get in too deep and then you start questioning your decisions. Like maybe you started a new project or you have this idea and you're really excited about launching and bringing it to life. Or maybe you need to work on some health issues or whatever, or draw a line in the sand around a relationship boundary, or clarify something about your legacy or your like long-term work. And so maybe you've made some progress on any of those fronts, but then you start to like doubt yourself and question yourself, and your limiting beliefs in particular can start to rear their head and say like, oh, can you really do this? Like, I know you committed to this, but can you really uphold that boundary? Can you really heal yourself? Can you really up-level your life in that way? Do you really have the capacity to see this project through to fruition? And I think for a lot of you with the key and the coin, it may be about something that you're trying to find. I think you're trying to find something that like clicks, like something that will earn you money or something that will resolve any existing problem within something that you're building in your life, or something that is like tangible and foundational. So the coin really represents kind of prosperity. So I feel like you guys are trying to find something that will make you feel really prosperous. For a lot of you, this will be actual money, but for some of you, it could be pertaining to other areas of life, like maybe prosperous relationship or prosperous health. But you're trying to find that key to success, that like answer basically to this question that you're having. But again, Chiron tends to bring up the insecurities, and Saturn does too, but it can help us also problem solve about our own mindset and like the ways that we think about things. Because again, we can't just keep thinking the same way as we're trying to up-level our life. We have to also up-level our interiority and how we're talking about things. So with the world in reverse, I feel like probably part of what you're feeling right now is maybe some uncertainty around if you can accomplish this thing, or if you are feeling behind in life. Sometimes Saturn, the malefics together can create that feeling of maybe feeling either really alone or like somehow separate. Like I'm doing this all on my own and I see everyone else and they're over there and they're doing better than me, or they have something that I don't have, and it can create this feeling of being behind. And with the King of Wands and Empress in reverse, we could also sometimes, when we're feeling shaky, almost like we start to lose faith a little bit in our sense of empowerment and our creative vision and our, ingenuity. We can lose faith in our leadership abilities. With the Empress in reverse, we can lose faith in our ability to attract abundance or to be magnetic. And so I think if you guys are experiencing those things at this time, that's really characteristic of this new moon. But it's ultimately here to, again, help us surpass some of these limiting beliefs that are here to initially challenge us but not hold us back. So what is it? What's the way forward? I pulled the 6 of Pentacles and 7 of Pentacles. This feels like very much an energy of Mars conjunct Saturn, where we got to take like slow steps. You see 6 progresses to 7. It's nothing crazy, but it's a next step forward. So I think a really big part for you guys is just focusing on, yes, you have your big vision. I think, you know, Neptune conjunct Mercury as well can really help with that vision and that like excitement about what is to come. But it can also feel equally overwhelming. Like I have this huge idea and now I'm starting to feel like I'm drowning in it. So what is the next right step? And breaking that down into something that I could do today or tomorrow, for example. I think also a big part of this with Mars conjunct Saturn is about being like willing to conserve our energy. And I've been talking about this for the last few moons, where we need to really, again, know when to log off, know when to protect our energy, know how to put ourselves first and take care of ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, so that we can continue to have the capacity to show up for these endeavors. But we have to make sure that we are taken care of first, especially on a physical level, Aries, because this is in your first house or conjunct your sun, which can really affect your energy levels. The other element of this is, yeah, like playing the long game. I think, you know, taking it slow, taking care of ourselves is about playing the long game, having patience. And Mars conjunct Saturn, whatever we are building at this new moon is going to take time to reach its full fruition. And we need to have that marathon mentality, not the sprint mentality, so that we can physically, again, and mentally kind of prepare our bodies to be able to sustain this long term. 6 of Pentacles and 7 of Pentacles can also indicate this idea of receiving support as well. So you don't have to do this alone, although an Aries new moon is often about doing something alone, but there could be something here around you are not a closed system. There is a way for you to like get additional support outside of you. I think also Spirit wants you to know with the moon and the death, there is something on the horizon in regards to either this project or if it's a relationship issue or if it's something around health. Those are the kind of 3 main things I think are coming up. But there's something around this that is going to have an unexpected change. With the moon and the death card, you guys don't see yet that this thing is going to either transform you as a person in a way that you don't perceive beforehand. There's a word for that, but I can't think of it. Or something about this project is going to look a lot different than what you think now. Or maybe about the relationship, it's going to go through like a metamorphosis or maybe even an ending or some kind of change, or like your health and the way that you, maybe your healing modalities and like the way that you take care of yourself could also undergo a really big change. So there's something about this where it's like you don't see yet that something is going to end and change and transform into something else. So not to say that you're not going to that you're going to not pursue this project. I think you are, or whatever this is, but I think it's going to look different than you imagine right now. So you need to be adaptable as well. And I think that really speaks to Mercury and Neptune conjunct this Mars and Saturn. Mercury and Neptune are very adaptable and open to a lot of different kind of concepts, taking on different forms. And this is very critical for you guys right now to be open to. And I think once you grasp what that metamorphosis is, which I don't think it's going to be right now, it'll be in the future. But once you grasp that, I really feel like you're going to have something kind of feel like it's clicking into place. We have the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Queen of Wands. This just feels like you guys are going to know like how to move something forward. It's going to feel like, okay, this is the thing. Because you guys might have an idea right now, like, okay, I'm having this health issue. I'm going to go to this doctor and resolve it this way. Or I have this project. I'm interested in this. I'm going to do it this way. Or whatever. And I feel like you guys are just going to not completely changed it, but there's going to be something new that comes in. And it could be because of this new moon. It could be something that happens later, but there's something new that's going to come in, and it's going to change the concept of how you're planning to go about something. And once you do that, you're going to have a lot of confidence in it, and you're really going to believe in it, and things are going to move very quickly from that point on. But again, I don't think it's going to be like, you might have a new idea come in at this new moon, but yeah, I don't think it's time to accelerate, not with Mars conjunct Saturn. This is about slow and steady progress. and being open with Mercury conjunct Neptune, being open and adaptable to allowing new information to come in for you. And this, if this is about finances, like thinking about money differently, thinking about how you can make money in unique ways, because sometimes we can really pigeonhole ourselves into a certain concept. Like, if there are a lot of people, I'm studying creative writing right now, there are a lot of people in this program that are like, you can't make money as an author, and they kind of have this definitive statement, but there are so many ways to make money with writing, and it's not just going the traditional publishing route. Maybe that's one avenue, and then you have a YouTube channel on writing, or one of my students, Frankie, shout out to you. She's also a creative writer, and she was leading a meditation on how to like kind of get into that spirit of your creativity and open to that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can support people and earn and give value and earn income as a result. And I think that this new moon is going to open up new avenues and new ways of building something that you hadn't considered before. And again, that new idea could come now, or maybe it could come a little bit later. But again, we need to be just continuing to move forward, because that's when it's going to come from you. It's not going to come from you sitting and thinking. It's going to come from the action, which is what Aries is all about. Action and simplified action. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Aries. I hope that this is helpful. If this resonates with what you're going through, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I am trying to grow my channel, so if you can hype the video, apparently that's supposed to be really helpful. I am trying to reach 12,000 subscribers, hopefully in like 6 months. It was a big dream, but if you wanted to be a part of that, I really appreciate it if you subscribe and like and comment, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Taurus rising and sun. So this Aries new moon happening on April 17th is taking place in your 12th house. And I asked Spirit what a main theme would be for this new moon, and I got the moon card, which is all about sensitivity. And I think this makes so much sense for this new moon, because there is nothing more sensitive than Chiron conjunct the moon, or in this case, the new moon. It just brings out so many feelings, and we can really act from a triggered place sometimes when we have this placement natally, or if we have it by transit, like we're all going through. And this is taking place in your 12th house, which is already a very sensitive house and can operate from a largely unconscious place. So I think it's really important for you guys to be aware of how you may unconsciously react to things. Or you could have a lot of like fears right now, or insecurities be playing out within your dreams, or maybe it could feel like it's coming from an intuitive place where you're kind of, it's almost like your psyche, your higher self is like trying to process and break down some of your greatest woundings and fears and insecurities that you maybe have bottled up and pushed away. And so that's what I think we're all going to be going through, but that is really heightened for you because of this placement in the 12th house. Again, being linked so much with things from our past, things that we have already delegated to our subconscious. And so you guys could just be, again, processing a lot of these things. It's important right now to watch your self-talk and also like your actions, because oftentimes the self-talk might not be super obvious when a new moon's in our 12th, but there can often be actions that mirror the subconscious. So if you are starting to do kind of self-sabotage-y type things, just notice that that might reflect some of the wounds that you're processing. This could also be a time in which you might need a little bit more isolation. You might need to have a little bit of that time alone so that you can understand like why you're doing, why you're feeling what you're feeling, you know, why you're doing what you're doing, and just have a chance to kind of sit with yourself and process some of these things going on. So Spirit, what is the wounding coming up for Taurus? So I think all of us are going to have to process some type of wounding at this time. And interesting. Yeah, we have Seven of Swords and Queen of Cups. This was kind of coming up with the moon card as well. And this is something about like, how could your sensitivity actually undermine and sabotage your success with something? If you are being very emotional about something, if you are getting easily triggered, if you are investing a lot of like time and energy into your feelings about something, it could make the problem bigger in your head than it actually is. And this is not to say it's not a problem, but like, let's say somebody does something to you maybe they like forget to text you back, or they miss your birthday, or they, I don't know, whatever. The the thing that's going to hurt you right now is if you really invest in that emotional story and allow it to build and build and build of like, I don't even need them anyway, like they're such a bad friend for not texting me. And it's like, I mean, sometimes there's nuance, sometimes there's more, sometimes it's not as personal, right? So I think that some like the things that we're going through right now, for you Taurus, it's like, how can we not make it personal? How can we not indulge in emotional like fits that we could have either in our relationship with ourselves or with others? Because I think that being oversensitive and really diving into all those feelings, that's like already characteristic of this new moon. I think with Mars conjunct Saturn, it could lead to us, again, kind of like undermining our own stability. Like something might actually be good for us in the larger context of our life, but it could temporarily be inflammatory or painful. And we could then make it mean that that thing's got to go and we want to cut it away and we got to leave, and we can get kind of maybe avoidant or reactive. And it's important to zoom out and look at the, you know, the larger context instead of this moment and this thing that could feel so big emotionally, because this person or this event or whatever we're involved in might actually be good for us in the large context of our life, but temporarily it could be painful. And we don't want to make have a big reaction or a big decision based off of that. This could also indicate that maybe you are needing to like make some major endings to your life. Like maybe you are cutting people out or saying no to certain things or setting certain boundaries down. And I feel like if that's the case and that feels right for you, then part of what this new moon is saying is that it could bring up a lot of feelings for you and a lot of stories, like a lot of mental chatter and stories around, oh, I'm always doing this, things are always leaving my life, people are always rejecting me, and it's always ending up like this, or whatever it is. And it's like, how do we not emotionally create that kind of tempestuousness? How do we transition and end that thing, or cut that thing away, or set those boundaries, or make those changes without making it such a big emotional experience? It's not that we shouldn't feel, but we can definitely exaggerate our emotional experience of something through our thoughts by like ruminating and obsessing or worrying about something. If somebody's leaving your life, like, or you're leaving or whatever, don't try not to make it bigger, or extend it to other areas of life, or you know, catastrophize. Like something that I work a lot on in my life because of therapy is, if one thing is going wrong, to not like globalize it to many things, or to like how things always are, seeing it within that context, within that parameter, and also being able to zoom out and see the things that are going well to contextualize it fully, so that we don't like lose ourselves in the emotions of that moment. So this is like what I see for you. So what's the way forward? We have the Justice card and we have the Chariot. The Justice came out in reverse, but a lot of the cards are coming out in reverse, so I don't know. So I feel like part of this, the reason why it came out in reverse, I think part of it is like sometimes things in life are not always balanced. Sometimes things in life are not always fair, especially like within the context of relationships, for example. And again, I feel like if something is kind of imbalanced, like if you're going through a stage of transition where maybe something feels like it's fluctuating and again, maybe kind of out of whack, out of balance, I feel like the universe wants you to zoom out to like a longer timeline and think about balance in that context. So almost like accepting that we have seasons of life, and maybe this season you're a little bit more introverted, or you're leaving certain things, or you're having to reflect on different changes that you need to make before you start really building. And Mars conjunct Saturn can indicate that part of the building process that we are all going through right now with this new moon, part of that for you is linked with the things that you are leaving. So you are building just as much by removing things, if that makes sense. So, yeah, and then removing them for the long term as well. So the Justice and the Chariot, I also feel like this is to say, like, to try to come at it from a balanced perspective. So even though like not all aspects of your life could feel like they're really balanced and fair, how can you have a non-judgmental kind of perspective where you look at things objectively? And that objectivity and being able to see both sides about if this is concerning another person, or if this is concerning things that you are easily like triggered about or have a lot of feelings around, like how can you try to bring a sense of objectivity to your own thoughts as well, and like question them a little bit or balance them out a little bit? If you can do that with the Chariot card, I actually think you'll move forward very quickly through whatever phase of transition this represents for you. The Chariot is also a card of willpower. So it represents like having willpower over our mental and emotional state. So I think a lot of this is also like if something's bringing up a lot of big feelings for you and you're starting to go into your thoughts about it, like you have to recognize where you have some control over that, or where you're feeding into that more. Any last like messages, Spirit, about what might happen for them or advice? So the 10 of Wands. Yeah, I feel like whatever you're going through right now, you might be like physically tired. You could feel like you're really stressed out. You might feel like you've got a lot on your plate, or maybe quite like your nerves are like frazzled or frayed. So I think that, again, having some time to rest or spend alone to like process things is going to help you. The Magician. Yeah, I think it also can help to visualize what you're trying to manifest in this next phase of your life. And to like use your tools at your disposal. You've likely developed some tools to self-regulate, that to support yourself physically, to maybe it's like therapy, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's a certain time outside or exercise, whatever. Or maybe you have like personal practices, like I love to write and that always brings me in a better mood, or even doing astrology really makes me happy, honestly. So if there's something like that, like rely on your tools more right now. And also focus on like what you want to build instead of what is like changing from your life or not going right now. Any last messages for Taurus, Spirit? Then lastly, we have the King of Cups in reverse. Again, this is really highlighting having really big feelings about things and being quite dysregulated. So just do what you can to regulate yourself. And then I hope that that's helpful for you guys. If so, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to grow my channel to 12,000 subscribers, hopefully within the next 6 months. So that's a big dream. If you want to be a part of that, then please do subscribe, hype the video. That supposedly really helps. Comment down below, like the video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Gemini rising and sun. So this Aries new moon on April 17th is taking place in your 11th house. So what I've been saying to everybody is that this new moon is really bringing up the potential for a lot of like sensitive triggers and limiting beliefs and maybe challenges emotionally because of its almost exact conjunction with Chiron, which, you know, one of the most painful placements in my work as an astrologer when I see people having it natally or even as a transit is Chiron conjunct the moon. And that's what we're all experiencing on a collective scale right now. So we're all in this phase of needing to heal something, needing to reflect on something, especially in terms of like the longevity of something in our life and how it makes sense in, the long term. And that's because the ruler of this Aries moon is Mars, and Mars is conjunct Saturn. Really, it's conjunct Saturn, Neptune, Mercury. It's kind of going through a lot right now. But there is a sense of, thinking about the long haul with certain things in our life. And maybe there are also potential for like past things to kind of trigger us. So things that you thought you were over could also come back up because of Saturn's placement here, or things that, this is a new moon, so we could be building something in our future, especially in pertaining to like long-term goals, which is the 11th house, or like our friendship and community. You could have something that you're trying to build here, in terms of connections, and again, maybe some kind of like life goal or spiritual goal. So if that's something that's relevant for you guys, this new moon is going to likely bring up the things that could get in the way of that success. What gets in the way of your ability to connect emotionally with people? What gets in the way of you being able to align with your kind of vision for your future, for these long-term goals? That's the question right now. Some of the main themes that came for you, I got the Stairs card, which is a new beginning. So you guys are going on to some new beginning, and Spirit with the Angel card wants you to know that you're protected. And I've been having a lot of anxiety lately. So as a Gemini sun, that does make me feel good. And then we have the Bell, which is an awakening card. And I think all of us, especially with Mercury conjunct Neptune, all of us are going through a awakening right now. We are up leveling our lives in some way, and we're needing to see things and do things differently. And a lot of this Aries new moon is showing us what we can't take with us and what we need to heal in order to have capacity for this new level of ourselves. And so I think that you guys are having some kind of beginning that is protected, that is divinely guided, either again in terms of relationships or maybe some kind of goal that you have. And Spirit wants you to wake up and see something clearly for the first time in this area of your life. There's something that you might not be registering properly. So let's see. What is that, Spirit? What is the awakening for my Geminis? So we have the Eight of Pentacles. What's the awakening for Gemini, Spirit? It's funny because the other readings I structured differently. We have the Four of Wands in reverse. But yeah, I'm just feeling a little bit more guided to ask different questions for you guys. And the Nine of Pentacles upright. So it's interesting to have the 8 and the 9 of Pentacles, which obviously are in an increase within the same suit, and then the Four of Wands in reverse in between them. So there's some kind of advancement that you guys are making in your life, like some kind of skill that you're developing or some kind of self-reliance. I mean, this is an Aries new moon, so it's like maybe developing some kind of belief in yourself or the capacity for something. That you guys are able to grow. But with the Four of Wands in reverse, that's the thing that's standing in the way of that growth. So Spirit, what do you mean by the Four of Wands in reverse? The Tower in reverse. I feel like you guys, when I think of the Four of Wands, I think of like our home, our safety net, our sense of comfort and stability, and the things that I just think of the fourth house in astrology, really. Even though it has different layers to it, and it often deals with like celebrations and whatnot and reunions. And that could be a part of it because this is a social house where this new moon is taking place for you in the 11th house. So maybe there's something here around the community that you keep. But the Tower in reverse, I feel like it's saying that you need to let like something go in order to progress some elements of your life. So maybe you need to let go a certain like way of doing things, like a certain familiarity or comfort zone. Maybe you need to let go a certain friend group or friend in your life. And there could often be endings with this being in the 11th house. Or like let go of an existing community to move towards building another one, or maybe let go of like an idea or wounding around that. That's like, okay, this thing, maybe you've had previous friendships or relationships or goals that failed or that didn't work out, and you need to let that go in order to build your life with a new one. So there's something about that where it's like, how can you release something? And I think a lot of us are going to experience that. How can you release something, with the Three of Pentacles to create a new community, a new kind of connection? This is like an online community. This could be a membership. This could be a friend group. This could be some kind of allyship. I see you guys building something with people or having this long-term vision that will include other people in some way. But you guys have to like process something that already left your life or let something go that's been like causing you some kind of emotional damage almost. For me personally, like I've had some friendship groups not go so well over these last few years, and I definitely carry a lot of those scars still. So I feel like there's something around that for me, for example, as a Gemini sun, of how can I emotionally be vulnerable and connect with people without being maybe kind of jaded, for example. And that might be some element for you in regards to friends and community, or maybe in regards to, again, some kind of like mission or online community or goal where you might find that you're showing up with like your baggage in some way, or that you're not willing to leave behind a friendship group that isn't working because you're scared that if you do that you won't find something better, and it's limiting you. So there's something like that where you're being limited by your unwillingness to be able to release something from your life. So what, Spirit, is going to be kind of the next steps or like the way forward for these people? So we have the Six of Wands And then we have the Ace of Swords. Yeah, I feel like you guys, I feel like for my Geminis, especially when we have Uranus move into Gemini again, which will be, I like really need to look this up. Let me look it up right now, actually. I just don't have the best memory in life. So, okay, I think it's going to be in May. Okay, so it's in April. Immediately wrong. So April 26th is when Uranus shifts back into Gemini, where it will remain for many years. So we're going to have, I think, a lot start to change for us at the end of the month. With the Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands, I really feel like there's something about this Uranus moving into Gemini that's going to give you a new idea, or you could have a new idea around this new moon. I mean, it's only like a 10-day difference or so. So like 9 days. So there's going to be overlap between these timelines, between this new moon and the next full moon. But there's going to be some kind of idea that comes to you with this Ace of Swords that is going to call you with the Six of Wands to put yourself out there. And maybe this is like you meet somebody new, or you decide to go on a podcast, or you decide to go on the dating apps, or you try to make more friends. Like there's something like that's going to call you. And I think that's part of the awakening, is like you're being asked to up level your ability to connect and work together with people and socialize and feel this ability to build something together that's stronger than if you were on your own. But in that process, with the Six of Wands, you also have to be seen. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be visible, which is the 5th house opposite the 11th. And whenever we have a new or full moon, it really activates both houses. So there's some kind of medicine here in the Six of Wands, in this being seen and being in the spotlight and being recognized and sharing your heart with people and being seen for who you are as an individual, that you guys are, again, being called to. So there's going to be either an idea or an opportunity or a new connection or something like that over the course of these next few weeks, or maybe even into May, really like April and May timeline, that is going to pull you out of your shell and ask you to be in front of more people, be more visible. And if that's the case, you can't show up with all that armor and all that baggage, because it's going to block people from really being able to connect with your heart. And I think that this is a lot of what Mars conjunct Saturn is about. It's about these malefics, where we can often be, when these malefics are triggered, especially in Aries, we can often be quite armored and independent. Like, I don't need people, and I can put up walls, and I can put up boundaries, and I can cut people off. And that is suitable for certain things at certain times, but it's also a way to prevent ourselves from true connection and alignment with people in our lives. And so the big message here is for you guys to be aware of when the boundaries turn into barricades and walls where people cannot access you, where you try to do things and be all on your own all the time and act like that's totally fine. You're with your planetary ruler Mercury conjunct Neptune. I think that you guys could have some softening and some realizations and some healing around those walls, especially because these planets are also conjunct Mars and Saturn. So any last message of spirit for my Geminis? No. Okay, well, that's the message for you guys. I hope that this is helpful. If so, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to grow my channel to 12,000. It's a lofty goal. If you want to be a part of that, please do subscribe. And apparently hyping the video really helps, so please do that as well. And comment your situation, your life, or whatever down below, because that is the most exciting thing for me. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer, Rising, and Sun. So this Aries new moon happening on April 17th is taking place in your 10th house of career. And one thing that I've been telling all the groups is that this new moon can be somewhat triggering. I do kind of feel like this new moon might feel a little bit more purposeful for you than other groups, because it's happening in your career sector. And I have oftentimes found that Chiron, which is conjunct this new moon, while it can be triggering, it can bring up a lot that needs to be healed and reflected on emotionally, it can also be an asteroid that really aligns us with our sense of direction and our spiritual purpose and our oftentimes kind of career, or our purpose can go way beyond career, but so can the 10th house. Like, why am I here? What is my legacy that I'm meant to leave? And so you guys might really be feeling that right now, that there is some type of risk in terms of your like legacy and your sense of direction in life and your purpose. Maybe you are feeling that you're meant to take some leap of faith with this cliff card. This is like a major theme for you guys. And you're probably feeling really scared. So this could be something huge, like moving across the country or getting married or starting a business, or like doing something on your own, or doing something that requires you to really increase your, not only your risk, but like your level of capacity and what you try to hold. So some elements of this is like, I don't know, I really see this with the ruler of this new moon being Mars and conjunct Saturn. There's this kind of seriousness of like, this is something I want to build long term. I want to be able to hold more responsibility. Does that make sense? Like I want to take a risk that increases the demand that life is putting on me, not in a way that's just stressful for random no reason, but in a way that is going to, again, create a larger ripple effect, a larger impact on society, on the world, on your life. Again, that seriousness, that legacy, that profound, and this is what happens when you take on a lot of responsibility and in a place of leadership, or you take some kind of big risk. That's when you have the potential to get big rewards, but most of all, to make that big impact. That would not be possible if you were playing it small and you never really took a chance and you never tried to put yourself out there or whatever. So that's what I'm seeing. I really feel like you guys are being called at this time to increase your capacity of leadership and responsibility and take some kind of leap of faith in this area of your career or your life goals. And this could also even be like becoming a parent, and that the level of what that requires of you. I just obviously I don't know, because I don't have any children and I'm very single, but if there's something like that, you know, you can imagine what that like requires of you. It requires you to become a new kind of person. That's what I'm seeing with this Cancer. I really feel like you're being called into an up level of your life, and that could bring up a lot of anxiety. Again, with Mars, these two malefics together in Aries. I mean, at least Aries is in its home sign, but it's just getting a lot going on with Mercury conjunct Neptune, with Saturn there. Just to clarify, there's a stellium of Saturn, Mars, Mercury, and Neptune, all within a few degrees of each other in Aries. This can be this feeling of like, I really, really got to go. But then I'm also like, but where am I going? And what's the first step? And I'm kind of overwhelmed with all of this energy. And with Chiron conjunct the new moon, it can bring up a lot of those insecurities of, can I even do this? Do I even have the capacity for this? Or like, is this a pipe dream? Is this a risk that's not worth taking? And with the island, card is about really being present and doing your very best to kind of like pace yourself. I think that with such a big vision and a big dream in your life, it can feel very overwhelming. And with this being in the 10th house, I do think that you're getting an idea of what is to come in the long term, especially with Mars conjunct Saturn. Maybe you're getting like a plan and a vision that is going to unfold for years. And so it can feel like you have this whole cake in front of you. You're like, I can't eat all of that. I can't do all of this at once. I'm so overwhelmed. And so this island card is really talking about trying to find a sense of peace and presence and stillness so that you are able to ground this vision into reality instead of feeling like you have to just take all of it in at once. You know, being able to break it down and make a plan that you can follow step by step. And this is something that I also recommend, and I think for Aries as well. So these cardinal signs are likely the ones to be going through this the most when it's in your angular houses. Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, where you guys really are going to have a lot come at you at once, and it could feel like it's too much. And you guys are going to have to do your best to find peace within yourself, but also strategically move the needle forward bit by bit. So that it doesn't overwhelm you. We also have the Bridge, which is a card of connection here. I kind of want to ask Spirit, like, what is this? I mean, you do have Jupiter moving through your first house. still, Cancer. So there is a lot of idea or a lot of opportunity for like sociability and connection and relying on maybe like mentors or spiritual leaders or a friendship group or something like that, where it's like you don't have to do this alone. Even if it is like a spirit guide, like there's some kind of ability to be supported or to be connected to other people in a way that I think transcends the stress of what this new moon can make you feel, and support you in a way that I think is going to be very healing. So that's a really big thing. Spirit, what might be triggering for my Cancers right now? What kind of conflict could come up for them right now? Because I think if there's any word for this new moon, part of it is like conflict. Okay, so you have Queen of Swords in reverse. All right, that's too many cards. And just one, maybe one more. Okay, we have the Eight of Wands in reverse. Yeah, this feels like somebody who is maybe being too harsh on themselves and also trying to do too much at once and feeling very overstimulated and anxious because of that. The Queen of Swords can be quite bitchy and like temperamental in a way of like, you're not doing that well enough. And the Eight of Wands can also feel like, I'm not doing things fast enough. I'm not far enough along. I can't even complete this if I wanted to. Like there's some idea here around feeling like you don't quite measure up, or like you're taking on too much and you can't even organize it properly in your mind to consistently move at the pace you would like to be moving at. So that's one of the conflicts that could come up right now. It feels like internal conflict, but for some of you guys, you could have some kind of conflict with a boss, or some kind of authority figure, or maybe like within your workplace. Maybe you're trying to increase what you're doing or up level what you're doing, but other people who have maybe a like the authority over you could be blocking that or preventing that, and that could cause a lot of friction of like, do they not believe in me? Why am I not able to again move things forward? Maybe it's even a government where it's like, yeah, I don't know. We have the Wheel of Fortune and the Three of Swords. I feel like part of what is happening here with this Wheel of Fortune, Three of Swords is that you guys are going to be able to transmute this painful situation or this inner conflict or this insecurity or anything that's coming up right now. You're going to be able to transmute it into something that's going to be favorable for you. So let's say like you have a boss that doesn't believe in you and they say, you're not going to progress. Like, no, like that, there's not a possibility for that. So it's like, okay, well, you don't believe in me. So I'm going to go look for a place where I do get this higher position, and I'm going to apply for that straight away instead of having to work my way up like I tried to do here and then got blocked. And I'm going to go straight for this next position, which I know I deserve. And so it's like you're taking this painful thing and then making it into something better and getting that job and moving up in that other job, and it's better for you. Or if you have some kind of painful past or insecurity or whatever, maybe you create some kind of legacy or support system or something out of this that is going to benefit others, and that also helps you transmute that pain that you've experienced. So it's almost like taking something from the past, something that was bad, something that feels bad, and making something really helpful and useful out of it, making life moves, or again, creative work or some kind of legacy or leadership that is going to be supportive for not just you, but other people, or that will somehow pave the way for something. Eight of Pentacles. Yeah. And this could also pertain to something that you're already working on. So if you already have like a project in mind or a skill that you already have been kind of dabbling with or developing on the side, this way that you transmute this like pain could be channeled through that specific skill that you've been developing. So that's going to differ obviously from person to person. But like for me, for example, I do creative writing. So for me, it might be something like that. With the Three of Wands, I also feel like you guys are maybe meant to take some kind of leap in terms of this thing. So maybe some of you guys are meant to be considering like a different location to live in, a different job place, or the Three of Wands can also just represent like a longer journey that you want to go on with some kind of bold risk. And I think that you guys are really meant to be considering how you can do that, instead of feeling like, oh, I can't because of XYZ. Instead thinking, what do I need to do to make that a possibility for me? And heal whatever comes up that could get in the way. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. I hope that that resonates. If so, let me know in the comments down below what's going on for your life. That is the best part about being a YouTuber, is reading the comments, except when they're mean. So If you want to support my channel, I am trying to grow it to 12,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of that, then please do subscribe and like the video. Also, hyping really helps, apparently. So if you could also do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, leave your comments and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Leo rising and sun. So this Aries new moon on April 17th is conjunct Chiron and in your ninth house. And what I've been saying to everybody is that this moon can bring up certain sensitivity, certain triggers. And I feel like for you guys, with this being in your ninth house, this could be a highly intuitive time, because with Chiron making us more sensitive emotionally, it can also open up our capacity to hear kind of different messages or ideas. So that is something that might come through for you now. But it could also bring up where you have certain blockages and fears around your belief systems. Maybe you are believing something that keeps yourself undisciplined. And this is something that I feel like could speak to the ruler of this moon, Mars, being conjunct Saturn. It's really a time to firm up our ideas, make something realistic, set something into motion, and confront or combat or make certain decisions around our life to move us forward, and confront the things that have limited us, that have kept us from doing that. So like if there are specific beliefs that you're operating under, or ways that you kind of think about the structure of your life that is inhibiting you, I could see you really digging into that at this new moon. So I pulled some cards for you guys around what some of this trigger is, or like the discomfort right now. And I got the Death, the Page of Wands in reverse, and the Justice card, which the Justice feels very relevant because this card represents the law of cause and effect. It represents fairness. And the ninth house, as well as the seventh house, is often related to this sense of kind of like law and the legal system, and what is fair, what is righteous, what is just. So there's something around that that I think might be coming up for you. Maybe for some of you, you have felt like things that you care about or that you put energy into have not fully reciprocated. But I think for a lot of you, what the real problem is that with the Page of Wands in reverse, maybe there's something that you have been doing kind of like haphazardly. Maybe there's something that you've thrown spaghetti at the wall with, or maybe you've studied it in a way that is very, the word that came was like juvenile, but that's not really, I don't know. I'm getting the sense that like there's something that you're meant to be developing in a very serious way. And I think that's the Saturn element, but I feel like almost you've taken it as a hobby, or you haven't taken it as seriously with the Page of Wands in reverse. Maybe you wanted results like right away, and then they didn't come right away. And then you felt like, oh, this isn't fair and I'm just going to give up. Or maybe you didn't like create enough structure around something or discipline around something. And there's something about this where I feel like you're meant to be changing your approach with the Death card. You're meant to be transforming that approach. And I'm curious, Spirit, why were they approaching it this way? So we have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is usually a good luck card, but why might they have been approaching it this way? The Queen of Wands. It's funny because Saturn being in Aries, it means it's trining your Leo ascendant or sun. And whenever we have Saturn trining our ascendant or sun, it's about creating more discipline in the pursuits that matter to us. It's about firming things up, even physically, firming up our boundaries, firming up our muscles, firming up our schedules in a way that will make time for us to prosper. And I feel like you guys are meant to be entering into an era with Wheel of Fortune and Queen of Wands where you can really shine your light, but it's going to take discipline in order to do so. I feel like maybe you've kind of been waiting for good fortune to strike for you, or almost like serendipitously waiting for a miracle to happen. And I think Spirit wants to tell you that the miracle actually can happen. That's what this angel card represents. And a new moon in the ninth house often feels like a miracle. where the divine light is being shown on us, where we're getting this kind of clarity of ideas, of our plans, and having things solidify. But I also think that maybe with this Chiron here, there could be too much of that reliance on the good faith of the universe instead of your own will when it comes to making things happen. And I think they take both in equal amounts to make miracles come to life. It takes our personal discipline alongside our faith. And so there could be something along that right now where you could have a crisis of faith or uncertainty around your belief systems or a challenge around how you've been perceiving life and the way that the universe works, because it might have felt unfair, but you might not realize that you were contributing to your lack of something fully solidifying in your life because maybe you weren't fully participating to your fullest extent and fullest potential. And so I think that you're meant to draw out more of your creative essence. You're meant to draw out more of that potential and that self-belief through personal willpower and action, which is all about what Aries is. It is about the self and our own agency within the self. And again, the ruler of this moon being conjunct Saturn is really about implementing a plan and getting things into motion. So I asked the cards, what's your path forward? And I got the Three of Wands, the Two of Swords, the Ace of Wands in reverse, and the Emperor in reverse. So I feel like you're at this distinct kind of crossroads in life with the Two of Swords. This is going to represent a this or a that kind of path. We have the Three of Wands, which is often about taking some kind of leap of faith, going on a longer journey where you're committing to something really fully. And the Three of Wands also means like you're leaving the shore, you're leaving the known, you're leaving the past behind or the familiar behind. And you can't, like, you have to commit to that decision. Once you're on the boat and you're traveling to another country, I mean, I guess you could turn around and stop, but the idea here is that there is a journey that you've committed to. And yeah, it's almost like you can't half-ass it. You got to go all the way. You either leave or you stay, and it's not something in between. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And then the other path that you could potentially choose is Ace of Wands and the Emperor in reverse, which is really about somebody lacking the fire, the willpower, the structure, the routine, the discipline to bring something to life, or to really engage with your potential around something. So it's like you can either continue along that path that you've already been doing and say, oh, you know, like I don't want to create structure around my creative routine because it's going to inhibit it. Or I just want this to be a hobby because, you know, I just don't see myself doing that. And you could come up with all the reasons why the current way you're doing things is the best way. Or maybe you're trying things in a kind of haphazard, kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall kind of way. But Spirit is asking you to really become more structured and intentional with your path and your plans. And you could keep doing it the previous way. But if you take this leap of faith and you commit 110% and you create some kind of structure and organization and a plan, and again, you don't look back, then you have this opportunity to create some really incredible miracles with this stairs card. This is a new beginning. You have the opportunity to walk one step at a time up the stairs to a new life. We also have the moon card. So it might be at times that your emotions and stuff could get in the way. Maybe it's something around pride or ego, lack of self-assurance, or feeling like you don't. Again, if this justice card is true, maybe there's something around like you felt like you haven't gotten your recognition or your flowers up until this point, and so it kind of disheartens you. But what if you haven't gotten your flowers yet because you haven't fully committed and because you haven't made it something that you can't come back from, where you've, again, created this kind of 100% commitment and discipline around it, that you're almost this whole new person and restructuring your day and organizing your life around it. That's what the universe wants from you. And so the option is yours right now. And you're going to confront the limiting beliefs and the uncertainties and the things that have led you almost to kind of play small with something, and not just like play small, but like not take it as seriously as you could. Again, not commit as fully as you could. You might find that that was driven by certain moments of self-doubt rather than actual and maybe again some ego stuff. That's often a Leo and Aries kind of thing, is like, am I good enough, or I'm not getting recognized enough, and like creating stories around that. So that's where it could become very clear what exactly is holding you back. So this is your time to commit, Leo, and let me know in the comments down below what it is that you're going to 100% commit to, and everyone in the comments is going to hype you up. So that's what I see. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe and hype the video. I am trying to grow my following to 12,000 subscribers. So if you want to join in on that, don't forget to hype the video or subscribe. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, my student Virgo rising and sun. This Aries new moon happening on April 17th is taking place in your 8th house, conjunct Chiron. And what I've been saying for all these groups is that this is a kind of triggering new moon. This one might be particularly triggering for you guys because of its placement in this 8th house. The 8th house is where we often have a lot of emotional kind of drama. It's the house of crisis. It's the house where we have often some triggering emotions related to relationships, our ability to trust ourselves or to trust others, and to feel like, you know, we have things under control versus are emotionally kind of spinning out. And that's, I think, something that we're really going to experience at this new moon, especially with your planetary ruler Mercury conjunct Neptune. One of the things that Neptune can do is it can make us feel like we're drowning. It's Neptune is the god of the ocean. It can create the sense of overwhelm, getting really bogged down in our feelings, or just having so much going on, especially with this huge stellium in Aries, having so much going on that just stimulates a lot of the adrenals and the stress basically in our lives, that we might feel like we're just being pulled in a lot of directions. Maybe there is just a sheer feeling of overwhelm because of tasks that you have to do, or maybe there is some type of crisis that stacks on top of your normal workload and your normal day, or maybe you're just having an emotional crisis, an emotional confrontation. And this might not apply, you know, to the same degree for everyone. It depends on if you have any planets around 27 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, or Libra. I have my moon around this degree in Capricorn, so I'm not looking forward to this new moon particularly. I did pull the Swamp card, which I feel like is really reflective of this experience of getting, again, bogged down in our feelings and our emotions. And one of the things that this card spoke about with this new moon is not making a decision from a reactive place. And I think that that's going to be huge for every single person involved, because this is Aries. What does Aries do? It's impulsive. It reacts from its immediate kind of feeling about something. And that can be very helpful in certain ways, especially for like business, because you can move forward in a way that's quite, you know, quick and decisive. But when it comes to relationships, when it comes to things that are emotionally charged, we can make the wrong decisions when we have this kind of rash, again, impulsive reaction to things. So this is one of the messages that I think is coming through very, very clearly for you guys. And you especially don't want to make a decision when you're tired, when you're hungry. I also heard recently on a video, don't make a decision when you're indoors. Like if you're having a bad feeling or bad mood indoors, like something like that. But basically the energy here is that sometimes it's the circumstances rather than like that are influencing your mood rather than what's actually going on. And to kind of tease those apart is going to be really essential. With Mars conjunct Saturn at this time, it could make us feel like things are graver or more important than they really are when it comes to our insecurities or some kind of crisis or negative thing. Maybe we have to end something, because the 8th house is often involved in that. This is a new moon, so there is an inherent beginning. But oftentimes with 8th house new moons, there is something that is also ending within this beginning. So, I mean, that's kind of the case for everyone, because we're having to heal something, move on from something in order to up level to the next degree. And if this is coming through in terms of like a life crisis or kind of a pinch point moment in your life, it could really bring a lot of energy around some kind of experience that you have to resolve or you have to put out a fire with or something. But that's almost emblematic or symbolic of this kind of turning point that you're going through emotionally as well, where you're having to heal something to up level in your life. And the crisis could push on those wounds, those triggers, to make it clear what exactly it is. So for example, if a relationship was holding you back, or something around your finances, or something that you're insecure about, you could have some moment come up that triggers those things within you. So Spirit, what is the conflict here for them? What is it that they're having to face at this new moon for my Virgos? I'm just pulling some cards for you guys. Six of Wands, the Four of Swords in reverse, the King of Pentacles. Oh my God, there's too many cards. Six of Swords in reverse and Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay. With the Six of Wands and the Four of Swords in reverse, I feel like you guys are coming out of hiding in some way. Not like, it doesn't have to be literal, but some of you guys are maybe putting yourself out there in some way. Maybe this is to deal with Jupiter moving through your 11th house, which can oftentimes put us more in the spotlight. Jupiter in the 5th, 10th, 11th, 1st can really attract that sense of like companionship. It can bring eyes to us either through relationship development, career development, or like creative developments. Like it draws people to us, or makes us visible in some capacity, or makes us have to be vulnerable or take some kind of risk in a public way. Just being seen more in some capacity. And I feel like that's what you're doing with the Four of Swords in reverse and the Six of Wands. You're putting yourself out there in some way, and that is an emotional risk. Maybe you are trying to meet friends and you're putting your heart on the line by saying like, hey, I'd like to connect with you further. And you could be publicly humiliated, but they could say no, or it could be really great. So that's the thing though, it is a risk emotionally to have that potential for rejection. So there's something around that where you guys might have already things come up around the idea of being vulnerable by being visible. Potentially, maybe you were going through a little bit of a hermit period. We did have your planetary ruler, Mercury, going through Pisces and retrograde as well. So that could have been a lot more of a hermity kind of time these past few weeks. And now we're coming out of that. So you might start to get a sense of like, okay, I'm waking up, I'm going back out there, I'm taking these chances, and it's stirring these feelings in me. We also have the King of Pentacles, the Six of Swords in reverse, and Queen of Swords in reverse. I feel like this could be either around money or a business decision or something around, like practical kind of financial things. Or this could be around like a big project that you're wanting to, endeavor upon, or some kind of plan that you have for your life that could be career oriented. So the King of Pentacles represents that desire or your journey around that. And then the Six of Swords in reverse and Queen of Swords in reverse represents that this might feel like it's not going smoothly. You could have anxiety, even if it is going fine, or if you're just dreaming it up. Usually King of Pentacles represents like something that you're already doing. But anyway, this could represent that it's not going smoothly, even just emotionally, in your head. You might feel, again, like you don't have a clear plan. You might get overwhelmed, or you might feel like the fear that it's going to be a bumpy ride. Or the Six of Swords, when it's upright, can represent this kind of ease of transition, like, oh, things are, again, moving forward smoothly. So there's something about this where you might feel like maybe there are delays, or you are feeling resistance or confusion, or there's some kind of like practical issues that are in place. But I think a lot of it is like mental as well. So I think that's part of the challenge right now, is you guys are feeling, maybe even catastrophizing some kind of financial or career situation, and feeling like you're not going to be able to move it forward. Maybe it's like you're finally putting yourself out there to develop something within your career, your finances, and you're doubting yourself and your plan, and maybe you feel like it's not going to work. So what's the path forward from this challenge, Spirit? And that can be quite common, again, with Mars and Saturn together. We can have a lot of this survival instinct come up, a lot of fear come up, where we feel this lack, especially in the 8th house. And the 8th house can also really deal with like financial situations, or our finances involved with others. So, okay, Spirit, what's the path forward? We have the Chariot, we have the Ten of Swords. What is the Ten of Swords representing? Yeah, something's got to end. You see how I was saying that with the 8th house? Like usually something is ending with the 8th house. The King of Swords in reverse. Okay, so that's what's ending. And we have the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Let me get a clarifier for that. Maybe some of you guys are needing to manage your money in a different way. We have the Death, the World in reverse, the 6 of Cups in reverse. Okay, so we start off with the Chariot. So the path forward, at least initially, is for you guys to be willing to move forward in a way that you are like having control over yourself. The Chariot is also linked with Cancer, the sign Cancer, and Jupiter is in Cancer in your 11th house. So maybe there is some kind of development around your community, your friends, or something online, or some kind of long-term goal that you have that you're meant to really commit to and have a lot of willpower to keep yourself focused on that goal. And in order to do that, you need to end some kind of cycle here. And with the King of Swords in reverse and 10 of Pentacles in reverse, I feel like part of this cycle is related to you maybe feeling like you are not okay, there's a couple of things here. This could be related to, I mean, the 10 of Pentacles upright and King of Swords upright is somebody who has a very clear plan. They are a leader. They know they're saving their money. They're creating a legacy. They know what they're building and they know the importance of this thing. And they are approaching the work that they're doing and their plans and their financial prospects from a very logical and sound place. And they're like making sure that everything is really in order for the long term. So there's something about this with this being in reverse that you guys might need to end a cycle of approaching your finances without the long term in mind. And Saturn is very much linked with this. So Saturn being, again, conjunct the ruler of this moon, Mars, could create some stress where you're recognizing that I haven't invested my money properly, or I haven't been saving for this thing long term, or maybe I just haven't been thinking as strategically about my money or my career or something around like finances or other people's finances or legacy or something like that. But there's some type of ending here that is going to bring up a lot around money and like the logistics around money, or like, again, long-term planning or business planning and the logistics and the sound reason and even communication and contracts and things like that around it. There's a need to get that really sorted. Maybe this is getting a will in place. I mean, it's going to be so different for so many people, but maybe it's thinking, if you have a business, thinking more strategically about your financial decisions for a business. If there's some kind of inheritance or like you're getting money from somebody else, then making sure that you have maybe the right systems and things in place, or right communication, or think about it really level-headedly, or maybe there's a conflict that comes up around that. There's like a million things that this could be. But you guys, there's going to be some kind of ending, and almost like you need to up level and be really more like an adult, I guess, or like more serious or more cautious or conservative, or having more long-term plans, or having more kind of like a logic and reasoning and sound advice, maybe even legal advice around this kind of like financial topic and like your business topics or your kind of career, things like that. That's going to be really, really important. 6 of Cups reverse, Death, and the World. So this could also involve the World in reverse. This could also involve like some kind of like some kind of cycle that's been going on for you since, I think it's like a family cycle is what I'm seeing here. Like there's some kind of like family cycle or family pattern that you might be repeating. So like if your dad was like really bad with money, and then you watched him blow all his money, and then you start to do that, and then you're in this cycle. So there's something about this that you need to get really firm around and not fall into some kind of like cycle or pattern with your family, or maybe it's a wounding around relationships within your family that you're repeating, or that you're finding yourself falling into, or anything. So there's something around that where you're going to need to reflect on a cycle that's not fully ended and that you are potentially needing to heal at the time of this new moon. So this seems like this is a really long reading compared to everybody else, but it feels like kind of heavy, and that's why I wanted to go deeper into this for you, Virgo. Also, I'm a Virgo rising, so we often get longer readings for Virgos because I'm a Virgo rising. Okay, any last message of spirit for my Virgos, like advice or what's on the other side of this new moon? Anything like that. Oh, ooh. So we have we have Five of Swords, the Fool, the Nine of Wands, and the Three of Wands. So there might be something that's either causing you anxiety or that you are having conflict with others about. So again, it could be either one, inner conflict or external conflict. And it could be something that is somewhat challenging, but there is some kind of fresh start here with the Fool and the Nine of Wands. It might be a fresh start that is born out of a period of struggle. So like, because I'm experiencing this friction and this anxiety around my money, for example, and seeing this cycle that I'm perpetuating, and I'm stressed about this. Okay, because of all that stress, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to have a new start. I'm going to budget differently. I'm going to make money differently. And this Three of Wands, it's going to help you really grow and expand your life in a big way. So it's like, even though there is some kind of, again, conflict here, it is through the conflict that this beautiful new beginning is born for you. And because of that, you're going to feel actually really light and expansive, but it's going to, of course, take you moving through the tension before you can get to the other side of that. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. If this resonates, let me know in the comments down below. This is the longer reading. So if you want to put an emoji, like the cloud emoji, I would love to see that if you made it all the way to the end of this. To know who my Virgos also are. And I am trying to grow my following. So if you want to support that, I'm trying to get like 12,000 subscribers, hopefully in the next like 6 months or so. So if you want to join that, please do subscribe, and don't forget to hype the video because apparently that really helps, and like the video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, next we have Libra rising and sun. I just almost said Aries, but this new moon is in Aries on April 17th, and it's in your 7th house of relationships. Unfortunately, this new moon is conjunct Chiron, which means it is a slightly triggering new moon. It's representing things that need to be healed, things that need to be emotionally dealt with, that are often highly sensitive topics. Again, being triggered. With this being in your 7th house of relationships, there is a potential that this new moon could reflect on what's happening in the lives of those around you. Maybe you have a partner going through a big change, or maybe there is something that will affect the relationship itself. But usually a new moon like this, especially with the ruler Mars being conjunct Saturn, usually there is something going on here that is related to some kind of conflict, maybe even some kind of ending going on in relationships. Though this is a new moon, and new moons do represent a new cycle, a new beginning. So if there is an ending, it is linked with a beginning. And I pulled the Island card for you, which as a major theme for this new moon. And I will say that the Island card represents like needing to find a sense of peace and being really present in your life. So that very much could be a message for you. But what came through more intuitively and more strongly for you guys was that the island represents being alone, like being on your own island. So there might be something about this where you guys might somehow feel like you need some time alone, or like maybe you're on 2 different pages with somebody, or you might benefit from, having that kind of like separation where you can have that peace by yourself. Or it could represent some kind of idea of like each person is an island within the relationship, something like that. So those could be some major themes for you guys, and hopefully you will know which one resonates with you, and which one doesn't. With the ruler of this moon, Mars being conjunct Saturn, I do feel like one of the potential messages for you guys is that things going on within relationships could represent like a clash of egos, a clash of wills. That's often the case with Aries, with Mars. But it could also represent long-standing issues. Saturn is the god of time, and so it usually references something in the past. When it's a new moon, it can also reference something that is going to take a lot of time to unfold, or that we are really committed to working through, or that is just like a sense of like devotion, commitment in general. Like if you signed a contract right now or made a decision with your partner right now, there's like a label of like a stamp of approval from the universe that this is a path that you're going to be taking, going down for years to come. So there's something about Saturn where either the past issues are coming up, or again, the kind of decisions and things that you're making now are likely going to be permanent or somewhat like chronic in nature. We have the Lovers in reverse. So again, some of you guys could have some issues in relationships, maybe some endings, or maybe an important decision that you have to make as a couple, and things that are affecting you as a couple that could cause a bit of tension. I did see that Island card, so like kind of seeing different perspectives again, being on two different planes of existence. Okay, Spirit, what's the conflict or the challenge for my Libras during this time? What's the challenge for my Libras during this time? And then we'll, of course, like pull some cards on the path forward. Your planetary ruler is in domicile, Venus, and it's conjunct Uranus, though it's in a wide orb. It's like 8 degrees away from Uranus. So, yeah, I mean, you guys might get a little bit of kind of this desire for freedom. You guys might be feeling a little bit of like antsy or act in unexpected ways, or you might find that other people act in unexpected ways. Venus and Uranus together could also bring sudden insights and awareness and revelations around your partner and partnerships, or like solutions to problems that you've been having in your relationships. It can offer that kind of clarity, that divine clarity and truth. So in some ways it could be enlightening and realize that, okay, we need to separate, this isn't going to work. And in other ways it could bring about like a clarity around a solution to bring you guys closer together. But generally, Venus conjunct Uranus is going to create a little bit more of this kind of potential for erratic sort of behavior. You know, expect the unexpected. Venus won't come into a full conjunction with Uranus until April 24th. So it is likely that the energy around that kind of erraticness is going to reach its peak on that day or around that day. Sometimes it reaches it a few days beforehand. So just kind of keep that in mind. With the Ace of Wands next to the Lovers, you guys might find that there is, Luna, stop. You might find that there is certain sparks that you guys are feeling in a negative way. Like usually I think of the Ace of Wands and this kind of Aries energy as being like very attractive and magnetic and what brings people together. But it could also be the spark that burns you, right? Where like two people are on different pages and you're both really passionate about different things, or you have different approaches, or maybe like there's some confusion around communication because Mercury is conjunct Neptune and Mars and Saturn. So Mercury, which is our planet of communication, is being really driven by confusion with this Neptune placement, but also some of this kind of seriousness with Mars and Saturn that can make it hard to really listen to other people and see their point of view. So it's possible that like we could have again that kind of like spark and that fire being used against us within the relationships if we're not conscious at this time, especially if there's an important decision that we need to make that people don't necessarily see eye to eye on. What is this conflict potentially here from my Libras? And this is not going to affect everybody the same, but if you have your rising sign at 27 degrees of Libra, you're going to be feeling this a lot more intensely, or your sun as well. Spirit, what is this bringing up for Libra? Can you be specific? So we have the Ace of Cups in reverse and the Four of Cups upright. What is this pertaining to, Spirit? The Ace of Cups is usually a relationship card. King of Wands. Yeah, we got that fire again. I feel like some of you guys could be dealing with a Leo or somebody who is an Aries or a fire sign individual, somebody who's got a lot of that fire within their nature, somebody who's very assertive, they know what they want, and maybe they kind of take up that masculine role, whether it doesn't matter their gender, but the masculine role of like planning something or taking charge of something. And that might have been something that you were really attracted to at first within these individuals. Maybe they have some kind of like light again that's really that you were really drawn to. But with the Ace of Cups in reverse and Four of Cups upright, I almost feel like that thing that you were attracted to them with, to them with, that doesn't make any sense. The thing that fire and that leadership and that masculine energy that you were initially attracted to or attracted to them for, might be the thing that starts to rub up against you at this time. They might be overly domineering, or they might not leave enough space for you in some way, or they just might like, I don't know, I can see you like getting turned off by it. Let's just say that. So you might feel like that's, again, that initial thing that felt like it brought a lot of kind of juiciness to the connection is also the thing that you're like, I'm not into that right now. Even if you're married, like this could be something that's like, obviously you're not going to break up if you're, I guess you could, but like most people, you're probably not going to full on leave the relationship. I mean, some will, but it could just be something that you're like, you're really annoying me this month, or you're really annoying me with what you just said. Walk away. I need some peace and quiet by myself. So that's one of these messages, but it could also be, if it doesn't have to be necessarily a relationship. It could be a commitment to something, like something about this contract with this work, for example, that you really love this part of the job. And then all of a sudden you're like, the thing that I used to love about it is kind of the thing that I'm not really feeling anymore. So what's the way forward, Spirit? Like, what's your advice? What's the path forward for them to have the best possible scenario? We have the Three of Cups in reverse. What's the way forward? The Nine of Pentacles. When I saw the Three of Cups, I'm like, ooh, three's a crowd. We have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Nine of Cups in reverse and the Knight of Swords upright. Okay, let me break this down. Okay, Three of Cups in reverse and Nine of Pentacles. I feel like, yeah, I mean, there's something about this being with three that's really standing out to me. Maybe there's another person involved. Maybe you're a family of three, or maybe you're three people on a trip, or maybe there's three, like maybe there's somebody else involved in this relationship that's like bringing up issues, but there's something about this. So something about the path forward, I feel like, is instead of being in this group of three, needing to be on your own with the Nine of Pentacles, like somehow disengaging. And I got that from the Island card as well. I feel like you guys really need some time alone. I don't know why or what that is exactly about, but I just think that there's a lot that maybe you need to process. I don't know. So something about this is like disengage with this. Especially if there's another party, like, can you somehow walk away? Can you somehow take time for yourself and not need to go to that party or celebrate this and that? I don't know. There's just something about that. Maybe it's your partner's birthday and it's like, I'm not saying don't celebrate their birthday. I don't know. I just think that there's something going on here where instead of socializing, instead of going to that thing, instead of engaging with another person, it's like, can you just take some time to yourself? Maybe rest, maybe say no to those plans. So that's part of the path forward, I think, is to kind of have some time separate so that you guys don't like bug each other. Because again, I'm seeing that fire of like, the thing was really attractive, but it can also be really annoying. And sometimes you just need space for that fire to die down. So the path forward, that's part of it. Time alone. The other path forward, we have Five of Pentacles in reverse, Nine of Cups in reverse, and Knight of Swords. Okay, this feels very clear to me. With the Five of Pentacles in reverse and Nine of Cups in reverse, I feel like Spirit really wants you to focus on, because I feel like there's something either about the relationship itself or this commitment, if it's some kind of work commitment. There's something about the relationship itself that you could be at times like really wanting to reach this like ideal situation with a Nine of Cups. This is like your wish come true. And with the Five of Pentacles in reverse, this is kind of like seeing things negatively, but in the reverse, it's like trying to get out of that headspace. So part of what I'm seeing here is I feel like you guys could be straddling almost like two extremes in thought of, I really want it to look like this, and if I don't get this, then it's going to be really bad, and I'm going to feel really disappointed and really defeated by that. And it's almost like saying, can you try to, like, can you guys have some kind of compromise to the point where if you don't quite get it your way, that you're not seeing that as like a loss? Because I feel like that's how you're seeing it right now. It's like kind of a polarizing, or not quite extreme, but like, yeah, like sort of like that, like kind of an exaggerated way of seeing things where my way or the highway, like it's this dream or nothing. This could also be if you're like trying to find a relationship with somebody, for example. It's like they've got to match this, this, and this, and if they don't, then it's like I'm gonna be feeling like it's a failure, and that's not gonna work. It's like, well, you could compromise on some of those parameters, right? Or things that you're looking for. And so the Knight of Swords, I feel like, is Spirit saying, like, can you be adaptable in terms of your mind? And I think Mercury conjunct Neptune can really help with this, even though it can create confusion and can create difficulty in conversations and decisions. It can also create this ability to think outside of the box, or to think really creatively and open ourselves and our minds up to ideas and ways of seeing things that we had never considered before, and maybe soften our approach to something, although Mars and Saturn will kind of harden it. But anyway, I feel like you guys need to be like intellectually adaptable, or communicate in a way that isn't just focused on, if it's not this, then it's nothing kind of thing. And even if this relationship, like if this is involving a person, if let's say you guys, a relationship doesn't work out, then this could also represent like, okay, the relationship didn't work out, but it's not just a loss, right? I mean, I guess it would be a loss, but it's not like, it's saying to like, even if the thing didn't fully work out the way you wanted it to, or in the way you want it to, there is still something that you gained from it. It's not, there's still a silver lining. There's still something like in that, even in the loss or in the defeat, that is working in your favor, that is supporting you in this next cycle. And this is a new moon, so it is about rebuilding. It is about a new cycle. Even if it's painful and there's stuff that we need to heal or confront right now, there is something that we're going to get out of it. And I feel like Spirit really wants you to see that, if there is some kind of ending involved here. So yeah, this feels like a really specific message. So maybe this isn't applicable to all my Libras. Maybe everything's totally fine. But I did offer like some other interpretations, at least in the beginning, of like, this could be about your partner more than you. Or some, if you're not with a partner, there's some kind of like contract or agreement with somebody. But yeah, I think also like with the Hierophant in reverse is your last piece of advice that I just pulled. Just being willing to look at things in a way, or like approach things in a way that is non-traditional. And I think that this is especially going to be the case when your planetary ruler Venus conjuncts Uranus on, what was it, the 24th? See, I can't remember anything, guys. April 24th. Being willing to like break out of like your mode of thinking or your way of doing things, to revolutionize it, to reinvent, to strategize a way that is going to create a greater sense of freedom and compromise and happiness with you and this other party involved, even if it's another company. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys. Maybe if some of you guys are married, the other thing I'll mention is Hierophant in reverse could represent like, what if we don't want to stay married? Like, what if marriage itself isn't the best? Like the traditional institution of something isn't the best way to go about it. Like, what if we can have this, but in a different way? So that's the last thing I'll say. If this resonates in any capacity, please let me know in the comments down below. I am very curious if this is even remotely resonating, because I think it is a very specific message. So maybe there's somebody out there, hopefully. Let me know. Don't forget to also give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow to 12,000 followers. So if you want to be a part of that and a part of our journey together, then please do subscribe. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. Okay, so up next, we have Scorpio rising and sun. This Aries new moon happening on April 17th is taking place in your 6th house, and it's conjunct Chiron. And this might be like a somewhat challenging new moon. I mean, it's challenging for everybody, but it might feel a little bit more sticky for you guys because you and Aries both share the same planetary ruler, which is Mars. And at this time, Mars is involved in this stellium where it's sitting next to Saturn, the other malefic, Mercury, and Neptune. So I think that you guys could be having a lot that you're going through in terms of your story around things. And sometimes Saturn can make us view things a little bit more realistically, but also sometimes a little bit more negatively. And so I think that part of your message here right now is to try to keep an open mind to different kinds of perspectives. And that's also something that's coming through with this candle card, which is representing trying to see the light in something, the positive in something, and with Mercury conjunct Neptune, seeing alternative points of view. And sometimes with Mars conjunct Saturn, we can be very deterministic or kind of stubborn about our perception of something. With this being in your sixth house, it is possible that something could come up around your work or your health where you again might kind of meet some sort of headbutting or friction against somebody else's way of doing things or perceiving things. Or this could be like around routine or something. So for example, some of you guys could have some like ill health or issues come up around health, and you could be asking yourself, is there something I've been stubborn about in terms of the way that I am taking care of myself that I really could change right now? Is there some, new way of doing things that I have been really resistant to? So I'm going to pull some cards around what is emotionally triggering right now, because all of us are going through some kind of element of being either overwhelmed or anxious or triggered. I think for you guys, it could come out in a very kind of psychosomatic way where you feel quite anxious and then your body starts acting funny because of it, because of this placement in the sixth. But it's likely something triggering us because of this Chiron placement next to the new moon. So Spirit, what is it that Scorpios are being triggered about? I think that you guys could also feel with this placement in the sixth and with Mars and Saturn here in the sixth as well, like you might feel like you can't get ahead or you can't get out of some cycle, or maybe you're somehow like the victim to something or the underdog to something, or something keeps happening to you. Like I'm kind of getting that kind of mentality as perpetuating some type of cycle in your life. And with the Empress and the Emperor, maybe it's something around relationships and relationship equality, because these are kind of duality cards of the like masculine and feminine or divine counterparts. And we have the Seven of Pentacles. Maybe something about feeling like something in relationships has been very slow growing, or maybe there's something about it that has felt Spirit, what is the Seven of Pentacles about? Let me just see. Because we do have Venus conjunct Uranus in your seventh house. So it could also relate to this. Kind of like people are very, the Five of Pentacles in reverse, and then the Hermit. I feel like maybe you guys are wanting to come out of a phase of like feeling quite alone. Maybe you've somehow felt estranged or separated or different, or maybe you've kind of been on different pages with people. But yeah, I feel like things have maybe been really slow going when it comes to relationships. Like maybe you want a connection and it hasn't been here. Or maybe like you've had issues with relationships and I don't know. I just feel like you guys are meant to be, I feel like you're meant to be just changing your perception on like what's currently going on in your relationships or what has happened in your relationships. For some of you, this could be work colleagues because of the placement in the sixth, but I'm just getting really strongly this like underdog story of like, why am I always the one who gets, not selected for this thing at work? And why does everybody else get put above me? Or why does everybody else get this thing that happens to them in relationships and it doesn't happen to me? That's kind of like the message coming through here is like focusing on this lack. And yeah, I feel like you guys are meant to be coming out of that. I think that focusing on that lack has maybe kept you kind of like keeping to yourself where, yeah, I want to say playing small, but not just playing small. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to like emotionally take some kind of risk. I'm not going to try to do this and that. I'm just going to stay busy with my work. I'm going to stay focused on my routine, which is sixth house. And I'm not going to like look at relationships and worry about that because that has not been an area that's been maybe going that well. And I feel like you guys maybe are having some kind of shift right now in the mindset around that. And that focusing on your work, focusing on your routine with this new moon being in the sixth house is almost like your way of distracting yourself. And I think something about that is not going to work right now because we're all going to have to face something and feel something emotionally in order to bring things back into balance. So Spirit, what is it that, yeah, I feel like there's something around like bravery here, like needing to have courage because that is what Aries is all about. And with this being in your sixth house, I feel like maybe you have to fight for something for yourself or have more courage around something or stand up for something that's important. So what's the way forward, Spirit, for these people? What's the way forward for Scorpio in this path ahead? What's the kind of like antidote or the advice for Scorpio? So we have the Nine of Wands, Four of Swords in reverse, King of Cups in reverse, Page of Swords. I feel like part of what this is saying is don't give up putting yourself out there. The Nine of Wands with the Four of Swords in reverse is saying that if you've tried, if you've had to like gather courage and again push against something and say vote for me or choose me or I deserve to get this equal thing, I deserve to be treated fairly, I deserve this kind of relationship, and you've been maybe met with rejection, you might be processing some of that underdog story, and the path forward is to continue to push that forward. Don't take that as a sign that you're supposed to not like, what's the word? Like advocate for yourself. That's the message here for you, Scorpio. How can you continue to advocate for yourself and what you want, especially when it comes to relationships or something around equality or something around work and equality within the work and like being respected and valued? I feel like you guys have maybe tried that and it wasn't working. And the universe is saying, don't give up. There's just some things that you need to heal around that before you start attracting that people who will value you and see what you have to offer. So it's saying, don't give up, keep resilient, and don't stop putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid of rejection just because it's happened before, or people, again, devaluing you just because that's happened before. We also have the King of Cups in reverse and Page of Swords. I feel like it's trying to say when you have feelings around this, like when you've been put down or rejected or cast aside or not considered for that position or that role or whatever this is, you could have really big feelings come up around that, which is valid. But with the Page of Swords next to it, I feel like this is the universe really trying to tell you to stay kind of like light on your feet, stay agile, stay adaptable, stay curious, stay exploratory, and trying to process your emotions and look at the situation through a different lens. Like, okay, maybe that person just wasn't right for me, or that role wasn't right for me, or there's probably something better out there, and rejection is divine protection and redirection in a way. So there's something about this is saying like, come at this with a new perspective and curiosity. And that's what we started off with this theme with the candle, is kind of looking at things through a positive lens. So even if it feels like, oh, woe is me, I'm always getting rejected, I'm always failing at this thing, I'm never getting chosen, the reality is that there is a good thing waiting for you, but it just hasn't come yet. And so all of the wrong things are going to be rejections until that right thing comes. And it's not something about you, it's just a mismatch with that energy and that vibration. And there's probably something that needs to be healed here around your sense of like validation and again being able to advocate for yourself. I think you're really building up that resilience, and I feel like Mars conjunct Saturn is that element of needing to be resilient and believe in yourself and you're almost like your defiance, like I'm going to defy your rejection. You tell me no, I'm not going to make that mean something about me. I'm not going to let you define me through your no. I'm going to keep going and keep persisting until I get a yes, until the right thing clicks. And I'm going to understand that the things that are a rejection and are a no, or that have felt unfair, imbalanced, were not in my best interest in the long term. Mars conjunct Saturn can play the long-term game. It can understand, that things take time, and important things that are meant to last many years usually take time to click into place. And if we try to rush this, which is sometimes an Aries experience, if we try to rush this because we're angry, we're upset, or we're reactive about something, we want to get away from that pain, then we often find ourselves right back where we started in a few years from now, because we try to force something wrong for us to work that didn't work. So it's better to just play the long game and have that divine courage and belief in yourself that you can validate yourself, that you are worthy of whatever this is, and that the right thing will say yes and accept your offer in some way. So that's your message, Scorpio. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to grow my channel to 12,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of that journey with me, then please do subscribe and hype the video. Don't forget to also like and comment, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, I'm next to have Sag rising and sun. So this Aries new moon on April 17th is taking place in your 5th house and is conjunct Chiron here. So I've been saying to all the groups that this is a somewhat challenging new moon. We do have your planetary ruler Jupiter in its exaltation in Cancer, but it's not really aspecting this new moon. And so we're not getting a lot of that kind of additional support from Jupiter as we would hope in a new moon like this. Instead, we have Chiron with the moon, which is often makes us very sensitive and triggered. And then we have the ruler of this moon, Mars, in its home sign, which is good, but it's also conjunct Saturn, which is another malefic. So we have a lot of this kind of tense energy. And then we also have Mercury and Neptune as well, conjunct Saturn and Mars, which can create a sense of confusion and whatnot. So all this to say is, if you have big feelings at the time of this new moon, that's really normal and you're not alone. And this is happening in your 5th house, which is a usually really positive house. This is a massive stellium in Aries, which as a Sag rising or sun trines your sun or rising. And this indicates that there is some kind of like prosperous opportunity, something that can grow. And some of the first things that came to mind was being able to travel or go on a trip, being able to make some kind of new romantic connection, or start a new hobby, or develop a different kind of relationship or a creative endeavor that you have on your mind. So with the Stairs card, there's something here that I think you guys are really wanting to like step forward into, that is like that, something that will bring you joy, something that will feel like it's an exciting kind of next step in your life, in a way that you can express who you're meant to be. And the message with the Stairs card is that you need to start where you are with what you have right now. And one of the faults of this new moon being so triggering and sensitive is that we can often make a mountain out of a molehill. We can look at our insecurities and think, I'm not ready to take that leap. I'm not ready to go on that trip because I'm scared of X, Y, and Z. Or I don't want to have a kid yet because of X, Y, and Z. Or whatever it is. Like, I don't want to do that creative project or put myself out there or whatever. Maybe you're just getting in your own head about it and feeling like you need more preparation and feeling like you need to prove yourself in some way before you can have something that's beneficial. I feel like it's really embracing that you are already really talented at something, that you already have a natural inclination towards something, that you already like something and should be able to just have it or pursue it without this feeling of stress or guilt or dissatisfaction, or feeling like you're not good enough or that you don't deserve it. So there's something around that I feel like is trying to kind of block you. Not block you, but like it's a wound that is blocking you, that you need to heal at this time. We all need to heal something in order to move on to this next level of ourselves. So there's something about this where you guys maybe have the chance to, again, embrace some creative gift, but you're like, I'm not good enough at that. Or maybe it's developing a hobby where you're like, oh, I could never make money from that hobby, or I could never do that seriously, or dating again and putting yourself out there and it's like, well, no one's going to want me because of X, Y, and Z. Or again, going on that trip or getting some kind of blessing or abundance or money and you're like, oh, that's stressful, like I feel guilty about that. There's something like that going on that's like trying to thwart you from reaching to this other side of something that you wholeheartedly deserve. And that's part of what is being asked to be healed right now. And with Mars conjunct Saturn, this might be something that has been lingering within your energy for a long time, or like this is some kind of pattern that you have, for example, or this is something that is familiar to you in some way. Like this is likely not just a, oh, I just had this thought today and now it's bothering me and I just got to move past it. It's like this is probably something deeper seated. This could be something even familial or something that has been like going on for a long time in the background, or something that you have if it's a wound, it's a relationship that you have with this wound that has been going on for a while behind the scenes. And so that's what needs to be resolved right now for you to up level and embrace the blessing that really does want to come into your life. And I'm seeing this as like a constructive change and like building you into the person that you're meant to become. And I feel like there are added layers of goodness here, but you might be kind of fearful and almost like pushing it away, or scared of your own greatness, or scared of the potential of something, or the blessing of something, or again feeling like you can't reach that capability even though you already have it. You just haven't fully like shown it to yourself or unlocked it in a way where you can fully see what's in front of you, or what you have inside of you. So there's something like that where it's like owning more of your greatness, or owning the blessing that's on the other side of this thing. Spirit, what is, I feel like that's already pretty clear, but what is the challenge here? And then we'll go through, pull cards on what the path ahead is. So what's the challenge here, or the trigger here for them, for my Sag? So we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. This is interesting because this is a very Sag thing. Seven of Wands is very Sag. Because it's like the card of defending what you believe in, and feeling like you have to stand up for yourself. But this is saying, and the Magician, yes, oh my God, this is all about having everything that you need to succeed right now. So with the Seven of Wands coming in reverse, I feel like you're needing to let go of this kind of, it's like a defense mechanism of like, thinking that you don't have everything that you need right now, or something like that. That's preventing you. It's preventing you somehow from, yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's almost like you want to believe that. Why? It's almost like you want to believe that you don't have what you need or something. Let's see. Why would that be the case, Spirit? Five of Swords and the King of Wands. Yeah, I just feel like you guys, I hate when people say like, you're afraid of success. But there's something here like that where almost like you might have a fear of stepping into your own leadership or taking up space with something. Like you might have some complicated emotions around it. Maybe you've had people in your life who've made you feel guilty for certain things, or made you feel like you can't enjoy certain things in life, or that you're not good at something. Like maybe you've had people display something to you through their behavior, or like tell you something like that about yourself. So like, for example, if you could make money really easily on social media or doing some kind of hobby, then we're starting some kind of project that you feel really inspired by, that's like a really big leap, but you've always had people modeling to you in your environment that that's not a safe thing to do, that's not something that you should even consider. Almost like you're defeated before you even get started. There's something like that where I feel like you've kind of almost like convinced yourself that that's true, but it's because of the influences of your environment or the people that have told you, oh, you can't do that. So Spirit, what's the path forward for them? Because again, I feel like that's quite clear. And it's funny because I'm seeing a bee outside of my window, which I live on the top floor, very high up in a building, and I like never see bees here. And I've been thinking about starting a membership for transits and like predicting, forecasting and stuff. And when I've been meditating about it, the imagery of like bee and honeycomb in a hive has been coming up very strongly as like a metaphor or symbolism of this membership and the connection that we would have together. And I've been really excited, but also really scared and feeling like it's a big leap and a big stretch. And I've been nervous about that concept of moving outside of my comfort zone and taking up that leadership position and feeling almost like, why me? Like, why would people want to join with me? And having those insecurities come up. And that feels very relevant. This example feels very relevant for you guys, where there's something like that I think really wants to come to life for you, be created for you. And that, like, this could even be having a kid again. And I feel like you need to not acknowledge, I don't know. Let's see what the path forward says, because I feel like, okay, 7 of Swords and 3 of Swords. So the path forward, I feel like part of this is acknowledging how at times either people in your environment or you have maybe self-sabotage because of past like wounding and pains with the 3 of Swords, or like because of like fear of what negative things could happen, or maybe negative things have happened again in the past when you've taken certain leaps before and then you project that onto this, or again other people do that, and it's almost like the 7 of Swords can be really self-sabotaging because of that. And I think that Spirit wants you, instead of that negative 7 of Swords where you can undermine your own success or have other people get in your head about it, undermining your abilities to move forward, I feel like Spirit wants you to use the positive aspect of the 7 of Swords, which is being strategic. So if you are scared that you're going to have a similar negative result that you've had in the past, how can you anticipate that and create, like, move forward in a way that is more carefully thought out, more considered, which is very classic of Mars conjunct Saturn? How can we be like cautious and well planned and strategic in our approach with something, while also taking big, bold actions with this Aries new moon, right? Aries is about taking a risk, but it's a calculated and strategic and well thought out risk instead of throwing caution to the wind entirely. So I feel like Spirit really wants you to embrace this idea of being considered, being strategic, being discerning. 2 of Pentacles in reverse, and don't burn the bridge. Like, don't even like commit 110%. Mars conjunct Saturn indicates that what we are creating, what we're building in this new moon, is something that is, you can't go back. Like, you can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna do this on the side as a hobby, or I'm gonna just do this like kind of lightly and like I'll just see and experiment. That's not what this new moon is about. This new moon is about commitment, standing 10 toes down, saying this is the only way forward and I'm going to do it this way or no way. And so that's the thing here with 2 Pentacles in reverse. We can't have the option of just saying, oh, I might, try it a little bit and then just see, or have a lot of different things that I'm going to work on and maybe one of them will work. Like if you want a business, for example, maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do that and I'll do a bunch of them. Let's just see which one works. No, that's not how that works. Aries is singularly focused, single-minded. I want one thing. This is what I want. This is the direction I'm going in. And I am having blinders for the rest of my environment, and I'm not considering other opportunities and options, and I'm not considering this as like, oh, like it could work out or not. Like, I'm not taking it super seriously. No, it's like I'm very committed and doing everything that it takes to see us through. And if it doesn't work after a certain amount of time, fine. But I know that I gave it my all during that period of time and didn't have my like attention diverted into a million directions or felt like I had an option to go back, for example. So we have the Temperance card. As I said that, we got the Temperance. Because I feel like I'm like, full force ahead, full steam ahead, which is very Aries. But then we also have Temperance. So this is a card about being patient. So I feel like this is Spirit's message saying you can't just give up after a little while. No, no, no. Give it full on time. This means give it a year, give it 2 years, give it 3 years, whatever you're committing to or thinking about at this time. It's saying to save up for it. If it's a vacation that's really big, that's really grand, that you want to do, like give it the full on time that it needs. Be patient with yourself for this thing to develop, but also be committed where there is no other option. I'm thinking of a friend of mine who's a Sag rising who wants to be a writer. I'm like, okay, if you want to be a writer, we're about to graduate our creative writing course. There is no going back. Two of Pentacles. I'm not looking at other jobs. I'm going to do this on the side. No. If you're getting a little bit of money from somewhere in the universe to support you temporarily financially, instead of like trying to get a job, use that money, focus on being a writer, develop that skill, and with the Temperance, be patient. And if the money runs out and you have to get a job, okay, that's another thing. But this is saying like be direct and focused on that goal and just see if it can work out and give it the long term like view that it needs, right? Instead of being impatient with the process. Mars conjunct Saturn. There's no impatience here that will work. That's not going to happen. I feel like I can hardly talk right now. I don't know why. Any last messages for Sag? Your reading is way longer than everybody else's, so you're welcome. If you made it to the end of this, comment a palm tree in the comments down below because I'm really curious. Sages, if you've been with me this whole time. The world in reverse. I think that Sag sometimes, this is a Sag thing. Sometimes there can be of undisciplined nature to Sag. And Gemini, I'm a Gemini. Gemini's like this too. We have wandering eyes. We got, shiny object syndrome. Like as this writer friend I'm talking about, maybe she picks up a book here and a book there and a book there and different ideas and stories. And you never finish one plot because you're always on another like shiny new idea. The world in reverse wants you to end the cycle of always like trying to look for that exciting, like stimulating next step, a next project. It wants you to commit to one and heal any kind of like feeling that you can't have it. I think that's what this moon is about, because we can self-sabotage by getting distracted because there's an inherent belief that I don't deserve it. I can't do what I want for work, for example, or I can't have a child or whatever it is. It's like you could sabotage the behaviors that you need to do to succeed because there is inherent belief that you can't do it. And the World card is saying end the cycle of getting distracted, end the cycle of the self-sabotage, and heal whatever you need to heal in order to bring this, in order to take the action that you need to bring this to life and have the patience in the long term to see it through. So very long-winded message for you, Sag. Again, let me know in the comments down below with a palm tree if you finished it. And if you did, please let me know what is going on for you. How does this relate to your life? I'm super, super curious if this is applicable for something that you're thinking about right now. Also, please make sure to support my channel. One of my long-term goals and dreams is to grow my channel to 12,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of that, then please do subscribe and hype the video. Apparently that really helps. Don't forget to like and comment, and also have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm going to say of Capricorn rising and sun. So this Aries new moon on April 17th is taking place in your 4th house. And it is conjunct Chiron. So I'm imagining that right now we are going to feel a little bit emotionally impulsive and triggered. And I think it's really important right now, with this being in your 4th house, to not let these kinds of patterns that have been emotionally running in our unconscious mind that come from a place of wounding dictate our actions as we move forward, especially if there is something within the family lineage that you could be triggered by or perpetuating. So I really encourage you guys to think at this new moon and any big feelings you might be having and any big kind of, again, reactions that you might be getting right now. Where is this coming from within the family lineage? How is this maybe an ancestral karma that you are working through, or something that is not as much yours as it is almost like a biological inheritance? So that's a really big message here. And the reason I say that partially is because I pulled this lighthouse card, which is speaking about not giving up right before you get to a goal. And that often the darkest time comes before the dawn. The hardest test emotionally comes right before we have a breakthrough or when we're right about to reach success. I cannot tell you how many times people who I've heard in interviews were right about to give up or say no and walk away from their thing that they've been working on right before they made it big. I mean, I've heard it so many times. And so I feel like the universe wants you to know that there's something in your heart that you have been trying to overcome, that you've been trying to achieve, that you've been trying to maybe build for yourself. Maybe this is something related to emotional security. Maybe this is something related to a physical home and having like the home that you want to live in. Or maybe this is something related to the kinds of relationships that you have with your family, or just a larger goal out in the world, but your family is affecting it and where you come from and your ancestral karma is affecting it. So something like that in your life that I feel like you guys want, maybe it's a degree of security, a degree of wealth, a degree of stability in your life and foundation in your life. And you might feel like you are on that path towards it and you are about to graduate from something. You are about to improve something, to go to the next level of something. And then it's almost like right when you're climbing up that mountain, there's like a ghoul or however you pronounce it coming to grab your leg and pull you back down to the underworld and saying, you thought you could elevate your life? No. Go back to your station. Go back to your little place. Come back to where you're familiar, to where you're comfortable, to playing it small. And I think that you guys are really right now meant to be thinking in the long term about what this foundation and sense of security is for you on an emotional and physical level, financial, housing, obviously family connections and things like that. And the long term is key here because the ruler of this moon, Mars, is conjunct Saturn. And Saturn is your planetary ruler as well. So there's something really key here about having a identity shift, especially within, again, this kind of like, I'm seeing this like chain link. And each link is like a family member in a lifetime that you're all intertwined together. And part of your identity has been formed by the links around it. And in some ways that is uplifting because of the support that can provide, but it's also downgrading or like unhelpful because of the way that they can pull you down as well. And so there's something about this needing to like have an identity shift in some capacity and maybe not be defined by your past or defined by hard emotions that you've experienced or defined by your family or mistakes that you've made or things that you feel bad about or feel like you've had trouble overcoming or moving on from. That's what Saturn is about. It's often this like lingering feeling. Yeah, Six of Cups in reverse. A lot of stuff about children or our childhood or our emotional past that we can get really bogged down and defined by and pulled down by. And the universe wants you to maintain your connection to the light and to this vision and to where you're going rather than to the past. And this is really key. And I feel like part of this is almost like transforming a past identity. And, you know, they say that we don't have linear time. And so if we don't have linear time, then our past self is existing simultaneously as our present and future self. And so how could we almost like energetically, this is super woo-woo, but how could we energetically almost reimagine our past self and shift that identity so that we feel different now as well? There's just something about that, or like linking our past self with our future self instead of being almost like cornered and defined by that previous version of who we were. And again, really defined by how that weaves into our family lineage and our history and where we're from physically and maybe the financial story or emotional story of your family history. You guys are really meant to be healing that right now and transmuting that also on a maybe even a more of a collective scale. We have the High Priestess. So I'm pulling cards on like what is the problem here. We have the High Priestess, the Fool, the Eight of Wands in reverse, and the Devil. Like what's the challenge, what's the problem, and then we'll pull cards on what's the path forward. So, High Priestess and the Fool. I feel like you guys intuitively know that there is a new opening coming for you. And this is something very psychic. The High Priestess is a card of mystery, of things that are unseen, of things that are felt and known within the body and the soul before they are seen in our physical environment. And I'm getting chills right now. I think that you guys know that you are on the precipice of something. You feel something stirring. You feel the energy moving. You know that you're moving forward towards this new clean slate, this fresh start, this new path that's emerging for you that's going to require a shift of identity. You know that it's coming. Maybe you don't know what it is. Maybe you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, even if you kind of know what it is. Maybe you don't know what it's going to feel like or what you're going to be challenged by. There is some mystery shrouded here, and that could make you quite nervous. With the Eight of Wands in reverse and the Devil, I feel like part of what it does, because you're so uncertain about it, like what it's going to look or feel like, or what you're going to confront, it's almost like having you pull the handbrake on your life with the Eight of Wands in reverse and the Devil, and starting to try to draw you back to the past. It's almost like your soul feels that is coming up on that cliff that you're about to jump off into this new life. And it's like, no, no, no. Let's go back. Let's go to that old habit. Let's go to that old thing that we used to do. Let's ruminate on that old problem. And it's almost like trying to pump the brakes of your life, because it's getting scared about that cliff and about how your stomach's going to flip and what's going to be on the other side of that. And it just feels too risky. And part of how you might do that is to get really mentally in your head, to get really distracted, to feel like you're really overwhelmed and you have all these ideas, or even just like you're uncertain. And yeah, Spirit, is there anything else about this Eight of Wands? Because I feel like, is there anything else about how they might be pumping the brakes on their life? It might feel like a logical thing, like, oh, I'm really anxious, like, let me slow down, like, let me take my time. And it's like, no, how can you move forward despite feeling anxious, despite feeling uncertain? Because we're all going to feel like that right now, but we're all in this rare moment of time where all the planets are direct, where everything is like piling up in Aries, which is telling us to move forward, to heal, and to move beyond these triggers. And it's like, instead of not trying to feel them or not acting because you feel them, how can you move forward through the discomfort? Queen of Cups. Yeah, I feel like you guys need, okay, this is part of the identity shift. This feels like a solution. Part of the identity shift that we're talking about is a new way of emotionally healing and nurturing and supporting yourself. So you guys might have like a way that you go about maybe emotionally processing things. Sometimes, like with Aries in the fourth and being Capricorn rising, you might try to do a lot of this on your own with the Hermit in reverse. And I'm getting the sense that you guys are being asked to come out of your shell a little bit here. Maybe you guys would actually benefit a lot more from wearing your heart more on your sleeve, or processing things in front of other people, sharing in the emotional experience, because I think that in that bond, you will recognize that you are not alone, that actually a lot of people are feeling this too. And there's something that's really, really life-giving to be able to transmute this kind of karma that you're transmuting in a collective experience, in a group experience. And I think that this relates to Jupiter being in your 7th house. So you guys are being really called to engage in relationship, engage in partnership, engage in therapy with, of course, a therapist or a person, or if you are in a partnership, to share with your partner more openly, or with your friends or with your family or whoever. It could be one person, it could be many people, but there's something here. And this is not just saying go on social media and airing your shit, but this is a true heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul emotional engagement in something. And I feel like you guys are being asked to embrace that sense of vulnerability. And I think that this is also related to your planetary ruler Saturn being in a sextile to Pluto. This is really bringing out all those feelings. You guys could be like really facing those shadows. You could be purging a lot emotionally. You could be crying a lot. You could be feeling very deeply and rocked to your core in some way, or maybe even having a lot of fear or a lot of anxiety. Things could be amplified with the sextile to Pluto. And one of the best ways to cure it and resolve it and whatever is with this Pluto and Aquarius, to have this kind of collective sharing of that energy, to have it be witnessed, to have people reflect and mirror their experiences back to you and how they relate to what you're going through. I think that there's something very healing about that. So there's something about how you emotionally process things, how you nurture yourself, how you take care of your inner child that needs to be like more vulnerable, or that needs to be opened up to other people so they can share in your intimate inner world with you, because I feel like you've been trying to do it all on your own. And I almost feel like in order to break this chain link of events and to have this shift of identity, it's like getting outside of your own perspective in a way of like, yeah, if you've always, it's like if you're like, let's say with your family, you think this way because your family thinks this way, and then their family thought this way, and it's like it goes all the way back into the ancestral lineage that you all kind of had that perspective. But then once you start to go and meet people outside of you, you see maybe they had similar circumstances and they've changed the way that they view things or do things, and you're like, oh wait, there's a totally other perspective here. There's a totally different way to go about this, to experience this. And it opens up your world in a way that is very enlightening and very healing, because you recognize that you're kind of like the fish in the water, and then you're able to let in a different perspective to recognize that that water is actually around you instead of just taking it like unconsciously, not knowing that that's what's happening. Like, for example, growing up, when I first went to college, I lived with a bunch of roommates, and I noticed that everyone was so calm and peaceful all the time. And like my family, we run quite anxious. And I remember when it dawned on me that that wasn't normal, that that wasn't everybody's baseline or homeostasis level, was like always this kind of high grade anxiety underneath the surface. That was something specific to my family environment. And it was like a fish in water that I thought that I was acclimated to that. I thought that that was the average normal experience for everybody. And then when I got put into a different environment and got to share this with people and observe people and connect with people, emotionally, I got to see that that was not the case. And so it created this new atmosphere where I realized that there's a different way of being, and it allowed me to bring a lot of consciousness and awareness to situations so that I could heal it. Yes, anxiety is something I still struggle with, but it's not something that I'm ruled by like I used to be. And it's hard to even go back to that place because I used to be really bad. I mean, I'm still kind of like pretty anxious, but I used to be really bad. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it shows that you develop tools, you figure yourself out, you figure out how to take care of yourself emotionally because you're able to reflect with other people on what they've done to get out of something or how they take care of themselves, and it opens up your world. Anything else, Spirit, on the way forward for them? So you have the Strength in the reverse, Emperor reverse. Stop trying to have it all together. Part of this is like, stop trying to be the one in control. Stop trying to be the one who's never having a problem, who's never breaking down, who's never like, I don't know, whatever, who's just not having everything held together perfectly. I think that you guys need to be able to crack open and be vulnerable and expose parts of yourself in a big way that I feel like you haven't been willing to do in the past. So there's a very clear message for you, Capricorn. I hope that this is helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments down below if this is related to what is going on in your life. And if you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe to my channel. I am trying to grow to 12,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of that journey, I really appreciate you subscribing and hyping the video, because apparently that helps. Liking and commenting down below, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, I'm going to have Aquarius rising and sun. So this Aries new moon is in your third house on April 17th, and this new moon is conjunct Chiron. So one of the things about a moon being conjunct Chiron is that it can represent having some kind of painful things happening, maybe some painful like ways of thinking or difficult conversations, or just feeling triggered or just anxious. Honestly, anxiety is quite common with a placement like this, likely spurred by the thoughts that you're having. And the ruler of this moon, Mars, is in Aries in this stellium conjunct Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn. And all these placements can really lead to like kind of this impulsive, overstimulated, anxious, overthinking, overwhelmed kind of energy. Maybe you guys are getting in your head about something that you've already decided. With this Deer card, this speaks to the theme of this new moon, which is about needing to like keep your promises to yourself, needing to be loyal and reliable and dependable. And for me, this is relating to the third house. So this is relating to sticking to your word or your decision around something and not getting anxious about it because maybe somebody else disagrees with you, or you're having a fight with somebody, or maybe if you have something issue with siblings, like this could also come up because third house is siblings. But it's generally something here around like social media influenced me, or I just started thinking about this and I got anxious about it and now I'm not sure about my original idea. Yeah, it's something like that. It's like I'm abandoning my thought about something, or I'm getting nervous and like questioning my own decisions and I'm getting in my own head when you actually know the right way. You're quite psychic at this time with Pluto in your first house, and also Pluto making this exact sextile to Mars, the ruler of this moon. I think that you guys know exactly the next steps for yourself, but it's almost like you're undermining your own capacity for leadership and making powerful decisions and maybe standing up for yourself, or committing to a form of action and movement forward, and again being clear in your head about something. You're undermining that with this the stress that could happen with this Chiron at this new moon. And so ultimately this new moon is about clarifying your vision forward, your action forward, your mission, and committing to it and like going all in on it. Mars conjunct Saturn, again, the ruler of this new moon conjunct Saturn, is about discipline, commitment, seeing something through. And Mercury conjunct Neptune can be helpful and come up with like creative solutions and different ways of seeing things that can be really imaginative in this path forward to help make a really solid plan. If you allow it to get in the way, it could also create confusion and a lot of options and the sense of kind of listlessness. So we don't want that. Instead, we want to say, I've committed, I've decided this is what I'm doing. And then you can use that Mercury Neptune to have an imaginative way of planning forward, but not by keeping more options on the table. Aries is about eliminating options. It is about committing to a singular option. This is like the idea of being in a marriage versus polyamory. You cannot at this time have your focus into many different directions. You can't be polyamorous in terms of a commitment, in terms of a decision, in terms of mental clarity and focus. I'm not talking about real relationships. I'm talking about your path forward. Okay, so what's the problem here? We have Four of Cups and King of Pentacles. I feel like you guys have been kind of like, oh, how do I say this? I had an image come in my head that I don't want to say, even though it's like something that, anyway, it's just not appropriate. But Four of Pentacles and Four of Cups and King of Pentacles. This is being quite, let's just say, flaccid, or being quite like waffling. Like the King of Pentacles is an energy of building something, of committing to something, of having a plan for something, leading something, taking steps each day, and making sure that you're creating like an itinerary or logistics, or like, you know, setting aside the right money or setting aside the right time. This is like, I'm really on top of this. I'm coordinating all this. I'm in control of all this. That's the King of Pentacles. But the Four of Cups is like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. Or I could do that today. I could save money for that thing I said I was going to do, but I don't know. Maybe I won't. And it's almost like disengaged and, again, quite all over the place with one's energy, not channeling that vital Aries masculine energy into assertiveness and directness and commitment and conviction. It's like, oh, I could do that. I don't know. Maybe I could. I don't know. I'm not that confident about it. So, you know, maybe another day. And it's like, I don't know. I find that almost like irritating. This thing that I'm acting out right now. But yeah, it's like there's something about that is so wishy-washy and effusive. Is that the right word? Or is it elusive? So yeah, that's part of the challenge right now, is like not also maybe even having apathy around the commitment, or just disengagement around the commitment and what it takes. So if you decided, I'm going to save money for X, Y, and Z, then do that. Alter your life and your decisions and choices around that. If you decided that I'm going to produce this and I'm going to go in this direction in your life, then do that. Commit to that. Um, oh. So we also have the Three of Cups and Three of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like you guys also might be engaging in socializing and social interactions that are taking you away from your goals. Like the Three of Cups is very much an energy of somebody that is like celebrating and having fun, and they're like spending money. And then Three of Pentacles in reverse is like, but the people who have the same goals as you, or who would keep you accountable and saying, you said you weren't going to eat that cake, you said you wanted to lose weight, you said you wanted to commit to this, like, then do it. But instead of hanging around those people, you're hanging around the people who are like, let's just go grab a drink and let's eat this cake. It doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't matter what you said you were going to do. So it's like engaging in the relationships and social interactions, and maybe even something, again, with I'm getting three a lot here, so there could be something around three people. I did mention polyamory randomly, so that could be potentially relevant for a very small subset of people, but there's something going on here, maybe with three people, that you're constantly hanging out with like three different kinds of people, or three people together, and it's like these people, not to say that you have to cut them out of your life, but there's something about this energy that they're bringing to the table that is not keeping you focused. It's not guiding you. It is distracting you, or it's helping you feel good temporarily in a way that I think is ultimately going to take you away from the thing that you're trying to build or commit to. So keep that in mind. So what's the way forward for Aquarius spirit? So we have the Eight of Cups in reverse. Wow, if that's not clear. The Four of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this is the sloth. You need to stop being the sloth, like, and start acting on something. You've been really procrastinating with the Eight of Cups in reverse. Maybe there's something that you've needed to like stop doing behaviorally, that I've kind of been mentioning here. Like maybe it's spending, maybe it's waffling, maybe it's engaging with certain people, or I don't know, something you need to like walk away from, that you've been like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I'll just stay here a little bit longer. It does matter, and you need to walk away from it. And with the Four of Swords in reverse, you need to get out of this energy of being kind of sedate, of being inactive, of maybe planning. That's also a thing. Planning without acting. Aries is a cardinal fire sign. Aries conjunct Saturn is not just like, let's get up and go and take action, but let's take consistent action. Let's create a plan and act every single day and follow that plan. And this Four of Swords, when it's upright, is like not just waffling, but like, I'm going to sit here and ponder it and stay in that planning phase forever, in the ideation phase, and it feels really good in the imagination. But this is, Spirit wants you to come out of that and put it into the real world, which is Saturn. What else Spirit is going to help them get out of, or move forward and get on the right path? What else is going to help Aquarius on this right path? With the Tower in reverse, I think that you guys are just resisting a major change in your life. Maybe it's that you don't want to face something really important and you're putting it off. Maybe it's that you need to end something that you're grown quite attached to, or maybe you've been complacent around something and you're like, this is fine, this is fine. And the Tower in reverse is saying there is a major change that needs to happen. And I feel like you guys are about to go through some kind of up level in your life, but you have to be willing to see things for what they are and own up to something 100% and face something in your life in a real way, and be willing to walk away from whatever this thing is that's taking away from you and keeping you in this kind of old mentality. We have the Knight of Swords upright. So there's something about this that once you do that, you're going to be flying. And this is very characteristic of the third house, that you guys are going to be moving super, super fast. You're going to have a ton of new ideas. You're going to maybe be moving and traveling, and maybe you're going to be writing a lot, or coming up with like solutions to problems that you've had and moving forward really, really fast. Maybe you get to meet a lot of new people once you decide to commit to one specific thing, or leave something that's like holding you back. But yeah, the Knight of Swords is like, you can totally get out of this phase of being really, it feels like with the Four of Cups and Four of Swords, it feels like something that you've been really slow about, again, kind of disengaged about, like, oh, I'll get to that later, or I'll do that later, or like, I'll face that later. And it's like, now is that time. You said later before, and now is the later that you've kept talking about. And the Knight of Swords is like, once you face that thing, then you're going to actually zoom through life, and it's not going to be like, oh, later. It's going to instead be present. I'm continuing to act from the present because I'm taking this kind of agency and active responsibility, and I'm enjoying and like what I'm doing in my life, and I'm aligning myself with the things that I've said I would be committed to, and going all in on that instead of denying that it's happening, which is a very Aquarius thing. Like, Aquarius can be a little like disjointed and like detached from some of the things that are going on, and instead it's like, I'm going to face this, and I'm going to feel it, I'm going to recognize it, and I'm going to follow my truth towards it. So anyway, hopefully this makes sense for you, Aquarius. If so, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to grow my channel to 12,000 subscribers. If you want to be a part of that journey with me, I would love for you to subscribe and hype the video, because apparently that really helps. Don't forget to also like the video and comment down below if it resonated, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, and last but not least, you have Pisces rising and sun. This Aries new moon is happening on April 17th in your second house, and there is something coming through for you guys that I think is ultimately going to be really beneficial given the theme of the cards that I pulled for this new moon. I think that you guys are going to have some kind of clarity or breakthrough, or some kind of key concept come through that is going to really help you in terms of your finances, your self-worth. I think it's going to really move you forward in that regard, which can help bring things back into balance, bring things into a fair kind of scenario. And one of the things that I feel like is related to that, with this being an Aries new moon, is that you guys, and this is something I said for Scorpio as well, which is interesting because another water sign, but there is something here around maybe needing to advocate for yourself, to fight against things that have been unfair. And it could be like a storyline that has kept you in a perpetual state of under earning, or maybe in a perpetual state of feeling guilty about something, or feeling like you don't measure up in some capacity, or that you get overlooked at times for things that feel like that should have been, people should have valued in you, or like saw in you. Maybe you felt like they, again, weren't valuing it or weren't honoring that in you. So there's something that's clicking into place with this new moon that is going to really help with that for you, and create this kind of, with the sword and the key, it's going to be a solution and some kind of clarity, clarifying vision coming to you around why you've been maybe getting less value than you're worth in some way, in some area of your life, maybe financially, or in relationships, or in your own relationship with yourself. This new moon, though, isn't just like, oh, you're getting this vision, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's triggering. And that's because Chiron is conjunct this new moon. Chiron is always going to bring up our insecurities. It's going to bring up our fears and our wounds, and it's going to make us feel sensitive, and it's going to make people say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing that brings all that stuff up within us. And so this is likely to come up, likely centered around money or possessions, or again, how people are showing that they value you, or how you are showing yourself how you're valued. There's something in regards to that is going to be highly triggering and sensitive right now. And you guys are meant to be working through that. So what's the challenge here for my Pisces, and then what's the way forward? So what's the challenge first? We also have Mars, the ruler of this new moon, being conjunct Saturn. So this definitely feels like something that has taken a really long time to come to a head. And maybe it's something that will take a while to fully build up. So it's like, okay, I yeah, I see myself differently now, and I'm like valuing myself differently now, and I want to make money in this way, for example, now, or make more money, or something like that, or be treated differently. But it might take some time to fully get there, and that's okay if it takes some time to build. So we have the challenge: Five of Cups in reverse, Hierophant in the reverse. Five of Cups in reverse. Five of Cups in reverse is a card to me that represents some kind of like defeat, some kind of disappointment, some kind of feeling of loss or failure. And when it's in reverse, it represents that you are coming out of that phase. But it might feel like you at times still define yourself by those things. So if you've had losses, if you've had defeats, if you've had things in your history, or like let's say your family always undervalued you as a person, or let's say you always played like you always played it small at work, and then you've always felt like you had to have a traditional type of job, and now you want to change things, but you're not so sure because of the history that you've had. There's something that you're defining yourself by, where it's like, things used to always feel like this kind of negative way. And so now that's how I've attached a meaning to it in terms of my identity, which is Aries, which is the I am statement. So there's something about your value and self-worth and your identity that needs to shift, that needs to be updated, and not just based off of like previous things that have gone wrong or have felt bad. And with the Hierophant in reverse, again, this could also be largely connected to your differences as well. Like maybe you have felt like you were always kind of like weird, or you wanted a different type of career, you didn't live up to certain like milestones in life or certain expectations that are traditional in society, or something like that, where I don't know, I could just see you in the way that outsiders, or like not outsiders, but like the system defines success. Maybe there are certain parameters around that don't work for you, or that you haven't met in terms of like milestones, and it could feel like you measure yourself against that, and that then becomes your sense of identity, when actually we're spiritual beings, and we're so much more complex than that. So it could feel like easy to get our value from, okay, well, I've done this and this and this, and I've reached this milestone. It's like, well, but that's not really what success is. Success is something personally defined. Value is something personally defined. And that's what I think, wherever we have Aries is where we're meant to be figuring out who we are in that area of our life through a new lens. And so you guys are meant to be figuring out where you are perceiving value that is outside of the system of what is valued. And this could be related to Saturn being conjunct Mars, the ruler of this new moon. And Saturn is about the systems. It's about the traditions. It's about the milestones and the expectations and the standards and all of that. And there could be that stress that it applies to us, even though that's not like necessarily relevant for who we are. So we have the Two of Cups, the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Cups in reverse, and the King of Pentacles. So I feel like you guys, maybe there have been times where you haven't really known what you wanted, or you've been in like maybe a spiritual career, or you've had like periods of limbo where you didn't really fit into the capitalist kind of corporate environment. There's just something here about like maybe being a little bit more. This is kind of like a Neptunian card. Feeling like you have a lot of choices or a lot of skills, and they don't really fit into like that perfect little box. And maybe you've questioned the value in them because maybe it's an energetic thing. For example, that maybe you literally are like a Reiki master. There's something that you just energetically show up with that you feel like society doesn't value, and so you devalue it. Or maybe you have a kind of creative mind that dabbles in a lot of different things, and it doesn't, again, fit into a specific box. And so you're like, that couldn't be a thing that I could make money with then. There's something like that where you guys are not seeing the value fully of something, or you're undermining it because it's very elusive and like hard to and abstract and like hard to define by traditional standards. And I feel like you guys are meant to be defining what value is in a new lens that doesn't focus on that. And that also doesn't focus on like other people's approval or other people's definitions with the two of cups and seven of swords. I think other people can actually undermine your feeling of confidence and your feeling of success with these, even these like small little comments that they might throw out of like, oh, so when are you getting married? And it's like, well, what if I didn't really believe in marriage? And that was like, that's the success parameter that you're setting for me, and I'm never going to reach it because I don't even really buy into that. This is just an example. And so then that little comment of like that expectation that you're holding for me is undermining my sense of worthiness, because now I'm feeling like I'm not measuring up to something that you want for me, even though I don't want that. And so being able to disentangle yourself and have this kind of like separate sense of self around what you value and around how you categorize things, the importance that you place on things, that's going to be so big right now. And not letting other people's experiences get in your head, even if it's super subtle. That's what I'm getting with the Seven of Swords. It can be very subtle, where they're not maybe even trying to make you feel bad, but they say this one little thing that's like gets in your psyche, and you're like, maybe they're right. And it's like, no, they're not right. What you're doing is great. What you're valuing is great. Like, or what you want to value is great naturally. Anyway, I think you know what I'm saying, but hopefully. So what's the way forward, Spirit? What's the path forward for them here? Your modern planetary ruler, Neptune, is in the stellium in Aries and is conjunct Mercury. And I pulled the Three of Wands. So something here about taking some kind of radical action. I feel like it's taking some radical action and commitment to represent in a symbolic way that you believe in your own value of around something. So even if it doesn't, again, fit into a trope or a like neat little box or a stereotype or whatever, it's like commit to whatever that thing is 110%. Maybe go all out on it. This could be, I'm going to go make money doing this thing, or I'm going to announce publicly that I'm doing this thing. We have the Star. I think that you guys are meant to be just believing in yourself. I mean, it's such a basic thing, but believing that if I do what I want to do, it's possible. Like, I can make money from the thing that I want to make money from, or the world can respond positively to this thing and value it too if I believe in it. And maybe it won't be everybody who gets it. Maybe everybody won't value it, but the people who matter to my sphere, who I am meant to attract into what I'm doing, they will get it and they will think it's important. And knowing that the universe will provide those people who match you. And this could also be in a romantic relationship or a friendship. If you felt like you were undervalued, underappreciated, underseen, this is like, I will, if I commit to my way of expressing myself as a unique individual, and I value the way that I show up, even if it's somewhat strange in comparison to the average person, I trust that the universe will put those other weirdos on my path that make sense and align with who I am. And they're also weird like I am. Like astrologers. I love connecting with my cohort of students because we're all kind of weird astrologers, and it's the best. Yeah, the Devil in reverse, it's like getting out of this fear kind of mindset and also getting out of the trap of this kind of like socialized structure of capitalism, of there's got to be one way of doing things, and it's got to be painful, and it's got to look like this, and it's got to be super earthly and super defined. And that is a part of this new moon in a way, with Saturn being involved, where there is some element here of needing to like put things into material reality, but it doesn't have to look like a preconceived notion of what society said something should look like. For example, random, but if you wanted to write a song or like be a musician, and everyone's like, well, it's got to fit in a genre, and it's got to have like a bridge and then a chorus and whatever else is in a song. It's got to have these kinds of elements. And it's like, well, who said that? Who said that there's only value in a certain, like, in a person who pigeonholes himself into a very specific way of doing things and by society's standards fits into some kind of like box? There's something around this where it's like, don't limit yourself to that and don't only value that, because there is actually, it will, yeah, your capacity to create something that doesn't exist, to have something innovative, to have something unique come from you, can only happen when you're willing to step outside of the confines of society that have been preordained and predefined for us. So we have the Judgment and we have the High Priestess. I think that you guys are going through a spiritual awakening right now. And this is you guys being highly psychic, highly intuitive. Maybe you're getting some kind of plans or ideas for your future. Again, something that could be related to bringing something to life in the material world or making money through something, or I don't know, whatever this is, maybe supporting somebody else in their path for this. But there's something like this that I think you guys are getting psychic downloads about, or you just feel very strongly about something. And you guys are needing to really make sure that you cultivate the space to listen to this. It's almost like a whisper in the wind, right? It's a soft, like our intuition is like a knowing, and it's quite soft and quite gentle. And it can be crowded out by the shouts and the angry, loud voices of the collective of society. And we don't want to do that. So this could be nurturing this idea, or keeping this thing close to your heart and not sharing it with people that you think would just shoot it down automatically. There's something like that going on where it's like, trust yourself, trust this awakening in terms of how you want to see the world, and again, value things in the world now. Like if you want to completely reconceptualize that based off of this spiritual awakening that you're having, then do that. It's like, maybe I don't care as much about money, and maybe I want to live van life, and I'm having that as my spiritual awakening where physical belongings are not important to me, and instead I want to experience the world. Then do that. And maybe don't share the idea with everybody, and just take the action on it. Take that step with the Three of Wands to buy the trailer or whatever it's called, the RV, and take that step forward. So there's some kind of commitment that you need to have here, and like believe in yourself and the things that you value and the things that you want, instead of letting other people like diminish it in some way. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. I am trying to grow my channel to 12,000 subscribers, a lofty goal. If you want to be a part of that, please do subscribe, comment, and hype the video. Apparently that helps. And don't forget to also like the video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.